Chapter 1281. Actually, Chen Zhao had only thought of it on the spur of the moment. He'd never thought about getting a plane. The association was doing well now, but there was no need to get a plane. Even the cheap Gulfstream G150 or G200 series would cost around $20 million. The association could afford it, but where would they put the plane? In an airline airport, it would cost $2 to $3 million a year. Plus maintenance and fuel, it would cost more than $5 million. If they built a small airport themselves, the one-time cost would be too high. It would cost at least tens of millions. This was because the association already had enough land and didn't need to buy land. Including the cost of land, it would cost at least $100 or $200 million. With the association's current scale, there was no need to get a small airport and a private plane. Moreover, the association didn't have many opportunities to go out. Even if there were occasional supernatural incidents that needed to be dealt with, it wasn't an urgent matter. In terms of cost-effectiveness, building a small airport and buying a private plane was too extravagant. The flight attendant's obstruction didn't make Jamie shut up. After the flight attendant left, she started harassing Chen Zhao again. In the end, Chen Zhao asked the flight attendant for an earmuff and finally closed his eyes to sleep. After arriving in Los Angeles, Chen Zhao hurried home. He hadn't seen Fei Lai and Zhilin for more than 10 days. He missed them a lot. When Zhilin saw Chen Zhao, she tilted her head and looked at him for 3 seconds. Then she suddenly pounced at him and hugged his leg. "Dad, Zhilin missed you so much. Dad, do you not want me and Mom anymore?" Chen Zhao smiled bitterly. He told Fei Lai before leaving, but he didn't tell Zhilin. She actually misunderstood. Fei Lai smiled at Chen Zhao's return. "You're back." "Yes." Chen Zhao nodded. "Darling, are you okay?" "I'm fine," Fei Lai said. "I've been teaching little Nine a lesson these days. It won't be so reckless in the future." "Yes, it should be." Chen Zhao nodded. "Where is it now? I'll go teach it a lesson." "It's playing with little 3 in the forest." "Okay, I'll go see them." Chen Zhao entered the forest. Before he even took 2 steps, he saw 2 black and white things. "Panda? Wait a minute, that's not right. Big Bear and Little Bear?" Chen Zhao's eyes widened. Looking at the 2 little things, his face darkened. Fei Lai would never do something like that. Only little Zhilin could do it. But to be honest, Zhilin's dying skills were pretty good. They actually had some semblance of a human. Little Zhilin probably dyed them like this because she had watched cartoons. However, they were brown bears after all. Chen Zhao didn't want Zhilin to go overboard. He still had to wash the paint off their bodies. "Little Nine!" Chen Zhao yelled. A whistling sound came from the forest, followed by the rustling of grass and trees. Little Nine, Little 3, and the others had already arrived before him. Because Little 9, Little 3, Little 2, and Little 1-8 and lived together, their relationship was the best. Little Nine's head had already grown to a very large size. It was nearly 25 meters long, and its 9 snake heads were raised high. "Little 9, you did well that day. In the future, if anyone hurts Mom and little sister, they have to do the same." Chen Zhao tossed a demonic crystal to Little 9. Roar! The 3 heads were all filled with envy and jealousy. Then, they looked at Chen Zhao with a wronged expression. It was as if they were saying, "If I were here, I would definitely do better than Little 9. Little 3, Little 2, Little 1, you guys have to work hard too. Protect our family." Chen Zhao patted their heads. Little 9 was even more encouraged. Its intelligence wasn't low. It was even higher than mixed blood demons like Princess and Walter. However, Little 9 wasn't a demon. It was a magical beast, a magical creature. But you can't hurt ordinary people, especially in front of Mom and little sister. Understand? Little Nine's 9 heads nodded at the same time. "Wow, L.A. is so much bigger than Honolulu." Jamie's looked at the scenery along the way. The bus had been driving for more than an hour, but they still hadn't reached their destination. "L.A. is 6 times bigger than Honolulu," Darling said. A tourist city was a tourist city, after all. It couldn't be compared to an international metropolis like L.A. "Boss, where are we going?" "The venue of the North American Psychic Contest. We're going there to report." The bus arrived at the suburbs of L.A. The vegetation was dense here. There was a building in front that seemed to be newly built. Jimmy was a bit surprised, too. It seemed that the North American Illuminati had spent a lot of money this time. The venue was actually so big. A white-haired man walked out. He wasn't old, but he had a head full of white hair. Jimmy recognized him. He was the general manager of the North American Illuminati, Russell Nanda. "Jimmy, long time no see." Russell Nanda walked up and gave Jimmy a warm hug. The Guard were only a supernatural organization in the Hawaiian Islands, but their strength and influence were quite good. So, Russell Nanda naturally welcomed Jimmy and his guards at the entrance without holding back his enthusiasm. "Welcome to the new headquarters of the North American Illuminati, Mystery Mansion." "Huh? You're moving the headquarters to L.A.?" "Of course," Russell Nanda said. The original headquarters in Orlando was also a big city, but its influence wasn't as big as L.A.'s. There are more opportunities and room for development here. Plus, so is a place with many supernatural incidents, so it gives us more opportunities. I heard that the supernatural organization's headquarters is in L.A. too, right? Jimmy asked meaningfully. "Yes, but do I care about them?" Russell Nanda snickered. Jimmy could tell how disdainful Russell was of the supernatural organization. Of course, he felt the same way too. The supernatural organization had participated in 2 of the previous North American psychic contests. In the past 2 years, the supernatural organization had made a fool of itself. Jimmy also looked down on the supernatural organization. Are they still participating this time? I did send them an invitation, but do they have the face to participate? Ha! Russell Nanda laughed. "Let's go. Let's talk inside. By the way, can you tell me anything about the competition?" Jimmy asked. Chapter 1282. The Guard are the last supernatural organization to arrive. I'll have someone arrange rooms for you. There's a meeting in the conference hall tonight about the first event. Okay. Russell Nanda indeed valued the Guards and arranged the best rooms for them. The Guard were envious and jealous of the headquarters of the North American Radiant Society. The environment here was much better than that of the Guards. The Guards had an office, which was used for meetings and meetings. But the headquarters of the North American Light Society had almost all the facilities. There were training grounds, entertainment areas, accommodation areas, offices, and so on. "Boss, when can we have a headquarters like this?" Jamie's asked. "We'll never be able to," Jimmy said. "A headquarters like this costs at least $10 million. It's already not bad if we can get $1 million a year from our cooperation with the Hawaiian government. After deducting the operation budget and the salary, how much money can we have left? And we only have 8 guards. Do we really need such a big headquarters?" Jamie's and the others actually knew that they wouldn't need it, but they still had some fantasies. Unfortunately, Jimmy didn't play along with their fantasies and said it directly. In fact, there were many organizations like them who envied the headquarters of the North American Light Society. However, this headquarters did make them feel the legitimacy and authority of the North American Radiant Society. Sometimes this was how the so-called authority came about. The North American Light Society was rich and powerful. Plus, it held all kinds of activities and competitions all year round. So most supernatural organizations recognized the authority of the North American Light Society. After dinner in the evening, Jimmy went to the conference room. When he entered, he found that the conference room was full of people. At a glance, there were at least 40 people. He knew some of them. Without exception, they were all in charge or decision-makers of various organizations. "Jimmy, sit here. You're here too. It seems that it's going to be harder for the Tide to win this time." The person who greeted Jimmy was a black-haired woman who was dressed very sexily. She was Serena, the big sister of the supernatural organization Tide. The Tide was a Canadian organization. Because there were fewer supernatural organizations in Canada, the Tide was considered an authoritative organization in Canada. There were 15 people in total. They had more people than the Guards, but their strength was similar. The last North American Psychic Contest had been a battle between the Guards and the Tide. In the end, the Guards' Jamies and Dorinko narrowly defeated the members of the Tide. Gimli sat beside Serena. "I should be the one with a headache when I see you." They were just flattering each other in business. Although they were competitors, they were not real enemies. In fact, those who could participate in this competition did not have any real enemies. Ahem. All right, everyone is here. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone. On behalf of the North American Illuminati, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone. Russell Nanda stood in the middle of the conference room. I don't need to explain the reason why everyone is gathered here. First, let me explain the rules of this competition. This North American Psychic Contest is a team battle. No matter how many people your organization or team has, you can't have more than 10 people. Of course, if you have less than 10 members, I can only say that it's a pity that you are in a disadvantageous situation from the beginning of the competition. If there are 20 people, can we split them into 2 teams? Someone stood up and asked. No, Russell Nanda said. It's not fair to those organizations with fewer people. The second rule is that in this competition, there will be an elimination system for each event. Any team that does not complete any event will be eliminated until the 5th round. The remaining teams will compete in the final competition. All right, Mr. Russell, let's get to the point. What's the first event? The first event is a test of your basic skills. I believe that it won't be difficult for any of your teams. If you can't even complete the first event, I will have to doubt your skills, Russell Nanda said. Russell Nanda said, the first event is to capture evil spirits. The time limit is 48 hours. You must capture 10 evil spirits within 48 hours, and you cannot leave the city of Los Angeles. Starting at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, any team that fails to complete the task will be directly eliminated. That's too troublesome. Why don't we start tonight? This competition has a certain level of danger. Tomorrow, I will have to sign a life and death agreement and insurance to ensure that if any accidents happen during the competition, the North American Illuminati won't be blamed. How troublesome. Those who can participate in the competition are definitely well prepared. No one will blame the North American Illuminati. Most people felt that the North American Illuminati was too troublesome. Since when did Russell become so fussy? That's why they are an official organization. We are not, Serena said. To be honest, if Tide had the financial support and manpower of the North American Illuminati, I would definitely do the same. Is it really necessary to sign an insurance agreement? If your people are injured or killed in the competition, how much compensation can your guard provide? If there's insurance, even if there's an injury or death, we can still get a considerable amount of compensation. Why not? Serena said. Okay, that does make sense. Kimberly had to admit that the North American Illuminati's approach was correct. Take the guard's funds, for example. If it was just an ordinary injury, he could still afford the medical expenses of his team members. However, if there were serious injuries, the guards really could not afford to pay for it. But since even the insurance has to be signed, I'm afraid this competition is not that simple. Mr. Russell, a white-haired woman came to Russell Nanda's side. Do the participating organizations have any objections? No, most of them agree with our arrangement. It's a pity that the supernatural organization isn't participating. Otherwise, we can use this competition to humiliate them. Mr. Russell, it's not like there's no chance at all. Oh, what idea do you have? I heard that when the supernatural organization purified Mapleville, they didn't kill the evil spirits. Instead, they convinced them to become their subordinates and took them away. So, the supernatural organization must have a lot of evil spirits. TSK. Russell Nanda said in disdain. These useless people can't even purify the evil spirits. In the end, they must use an embarrassing method to negotiate with the evil spirit organization. Chapter 1283. Serena, Jimmy said with a frown. We don't know anyone in Los Angeles. Where are we going to catch 10 evil spirits? They weren't worried about their combat ability. Usually, they dealt with evil spirits the most. However, they were dealing with supernatural incidents in Hawaii. They were completely unfamiliar with Los Angeles. They couldn't even recognize a single road. How were they supposed to find evil spirits? Evil spirits wouldn't wander around the streets. We have a girl in Tide. She could do divination. She can divine evil spirits? Jimmy asked in surprise. Of course, Serena said proudly. Jimmy's eyes lit up. Serena, why don't we work together? We'll eliminate the other organizations first. Then, we'll decide the winner. Why? You can't even protect yourselves right now, Serena said disapprovingly. Serena, how do you know that we won't be able to use our team's magic later? Are you sure your team can solve everything? Serena indeed wasn't confident. Just as Jimmy said, they had a good chance of winning if they worked together. All right, I promise, Serena said. Serena said, but if you go back on your word, we, the Tide, will fight to the death with your guards. Of course, Jimmy didn't plan to go back on his word. After all, they had already said it out loud. Moreover, this was a semi-public place. If he betrayed Tide and Serena in this competition, the dignity of the Royal Guards would be completely destroyed. A victory wasn't enough for him to go back on his word. Moreover, Tide wasn't weak. In fact, they were very strong. Serena had considered this too. If they worked together and supported each other until the finals, they could indeed minimize the risk. Hey, Serena, Jimmy. Just then, Russell walked to the balcony. What are you guys talking about? About the competition, of course, Serena said with a smile. Jimmy and I plan to work together. After all, Russell was the organizer and wouldn't be participating in the competition. So, Serena calmly told them about her cooperation with Jimmy. Of course, she had another consideration. Letting more people know about their cooperation would ensure that Jimmy wouldn't go back on his word. The two of you are working together? Looks like you've already secured the championship. Russell Nanda laughed. Looks like I don't need to help anymore. You've always been impartial. What will you help us with? Help us win the championship? Serena said disapprovingly. I can't help you win, but I'm familiar with Los Angeles. I know where the evil spirits are. Do you need my help? Serena and Kimley twitched their brows. They didn't believe that Russell Nanda would open the back door for them. This was almost like cheating. Based on their understanding of Russell Nanda, this guy would never do something like breaking the rules himself. Of course, if you want to talk about it, there's a road leading to the forest on the outskirts of Zyril. At the end of the road, there should be a lot of evil spirits. Don't tell anyone, or my words will damage the authority of the Illuminati of North America. Russell Nanda turned around and left. Do you believe him? Serena asked. Maybe there really are a lot of evil spirits there, but I don't believe that he'd be so kind as to tell us. Maybe he told every organization, Kimley speculated. Also, if the evil spirits form a group, it'll be very troublesome. Maybe Russell Nanda wants to use us to get rid of the evil spirit group. I won't work for him. There's indeed such a possibility. Perhaps his goal is to eliminate a few more groups of contestants. Yeah, that old fox. Russell Nanda looked young, but he was actually very old. He was more than 60 years old. But that's good. Some idiots will fall for it. It'll solve our problem. On the elite, there's a big deal that needs you. This is the original contract. Make a few hundred copies. Oh, got it. An elite took the original contract from the manager. He glanced at it casually. A few hundred copies at once. It should be a big company. Although he didn't get the order himself, he could still get a considerable amount of income. Of course, an elite was more concerned about his job in a supernatural organization. Most of his energy was spent on the organization and how to improve himself. If he just bought insurance, he wouldn't get $10,000 a month. But in the supernatural organization, he could earn tens of thousands of dollars by doing 1 or 2 missions every month. Ever since Chun Zhao became the president of the supernatural organization, it had completely changed. Of course, an elite didn't give up his job in the insurance industry. It was mainly to hide his real job. If his family knew that he'd lost his job in the insurance company, they might be shocked. Plus, it wasn't easy for him to get to the position of manager. His normal work was easy and he had a lot of free time. He could also use a client as an excuse to go out and report to the organization. Also, after helping some people deal with supernatural incidents, he could send out an insurance policy. He could do both his main job and side job at the same time. Most importantly, unless it was a group operation, Xinjiao wouldn't force an elite to stay in the organization. During the Demon Army attack, an elite had performed well and gotten a good result. For this, he'd even received $100,000. Of course, the ones with the highest bonuses were Gaia and Hell AIs. An elite was envious of their bonuses, but he wasn't jealous. Chen Zhao had always been fair with rewards and punishments. He wasn't as strong as Gaia and Hell AIs. Plus, he'd been practicing his magic hard. Don't be fooled by the fact that he usually doesn't show off his abilities, but his strength has improved very quickly. He usually combed his hair back, wore a suit and tie, and carried an official bag. He looked no different from those insurance salesmen. But no one in the insurance company knew that he always had a pair of daggers in his bag. Dongye Tianxi had made them for him. He loved them so much that he couldn't bear to part with them. An elite came to the address the manager gave him. He looked inside and felt that the layout was like his own organization's headquarters. Chapter 1284. An elite entered the headquarters of the North American Light Association. The person leading the way was a white-haired woman. Apart from her weird hair, she was still very pretty. "Sir, this way, please," the white-haired woman said. With the white-haired woman leading the way, an elite came to a conference room. "Okay, miss, please call on the people who are going to sign the insurance." "Okay, please wait a moment." Soon, the white-haired woman brought in 20 people. An elite realized that these people were dressed differently. They didn't look like employees of the same company at all. Instead, they looked more like members of the supernatural organization. They were also dressed differently. In the past, an elite didn't think it was a problem. But now that he looked at them from an outsider's point of view, he suddenly felt awkward. Should he tell the president to have them wear the same uniform when carrying out missions? Sir, can we sign the insurance contract now?" An elite came back to his senses. He had actually spaced out during work. But this was already normal. Now, an elite focused most of his energy on the supernatural organization. "Okay, sorry. Let's start." 20 people took the insurance contract, glanced at it, and signed their names. Then the white-haired woman brought in another 20 people. An elite did the same work over and over again. An elite vaguely sensed that these people weren't ordinary people. They were all spiritualists. Although he couldn't sense most of them, there were always one or two who weren't strong enough and didn't have good control of their magic power. An elite could easily sense their magic power. No wonder. This was a supernatural organization. But there seemed to be quite a lot of people. It was just signing the insurance contract and not negotiating, so it didn't take much time. But there were too many people. There were at least 400 of them. There were really a lot of people in this supernatural organization. But judging from Angelite's senses, most of the people in this organization were similar to him in the past. They were spiritualists who were just slackers. Of course, an elite didn't dare to say that he would definitely win against anyone in the organization, but he could definitely stand alone against outsiders. Angelite's mentality was good. He felt that everyone had gone through that stage. But the strength of an organization had nothing to do with the number of people. The supernatural organization only had 20 to 30 people, but most of them were quite strong. Even Aduz dared to run out and take orders. Right, Aduz was about to be discharged in 2 days. He usually played with Aduz, so he should pick him up. The white-haired woman noticed that an elite was distracted again. His impression of an elite immediately worsened. However, the insurance contract had already been signed. "Mr. Elite, let me see you out." "Oh, thank you." An elite packed his things and was about to leave when he felt a bump on his shoulder. A man with a mohawk hairstyle purposely rubbed against an elite. This man was the same as Morit. He wasn't a good person. Of course, after being taught a lesson by Chen Zhao, Morit had become much more well-behaved. After walking for 3 meters, the man's expression suddenly changed. He touched his pocket and realized that he had lost something. The Mohawk man turned to look at an elite who was holding onto his phone. "Sir, did you lose anything?" A look of surprise appeared on the white-haired woman's face. How did this insurance salesman take away that guy's phone? He couldn't even see it clearly. The Mohawk man's face was filled with anger. "Give it back." An elite tossed the phone back into the Mohawk man's hand. So fast, the white-haired woman could vaguely see Angelite's movements. However, the Mohawk man wasn't happy. He felt like he'd been played. "Go die." The Mohawk man raised his arm and swung his fist at an elite. Angelite's arm suddenly turned into a blur. The next moment, a dagger appeared in his hand. At the same time, the dagger was pressed against the Mohawk man's neck. In the entire supernatural organization, an elite was the only one who could barely keep up with Chun Zhao's speed. In the past, Angelite's biggest weakness was that he couldn't maintain his super speed for long. But now, his speed had increased by at least 8 times, and his control of magic was even better. It wasn't a problem for him to last a battle. He even asked the members of the lightning team to teach him fighting techniques. "You want to kill me?" Holding the dagger, an elite smiled at the Mohawk man. So fast, too fast. The white-haired woman subconsciously took 2 steps back. If they clashed and the distance was less than 5 meters, she definitely wouldn't be able to dodge his attack. If she was within 5 meters, she would definitely die. She didn't even see how Chun Zhao had taken out the dagger and pressed it against the Mohawk man's neck. This guy was also a spiritualist. Furthermore, he was a very powerful spiritualist. "Say, sir, I'm joking with you." The Mohawk man was frightened. He could only bully normal people. He didn't expect an elite to be a spiritualist too, and a powerful one at that. Most importantly, he could feel Angelite's murderous aura. Speaking of this aura, an elite had learned it from Klaus. Apparently, Klaus had learned it from Chun Zhao too. When facing enemies or captives, one might not want to kill them, but one still had to maintain the murderous aura. This was to shock the enemy and make them submit and fear him. An elite obviously didn't plan to kill, but he'd learned 80% of the aura. With a smile on his face, an elite looked like a cold killer. An elite put away the dagger. The white-haired woman still couldn't see Angelite's movements clearly. An elite returned to the appearance of a commercial insurance salesman. The Mohawk man was so scared that his legs turned to jelly. Even when an elite turned to leave, he didn't have the strength to stand up. He felt that he could really be killed. The white-haired woman really doubted which one was the real elite. "Mr. Elite, you should know where this is, right?" "No. This is the headquarters of the North American Light Association. Are you interested in joining us? We really hope to have a powerful wizard like you." "Sorry, I still prefer my job as an insurance salesman." An elite wouldn't reveal his true identity so easily. Even his family didn't know his true identity, let alone others. Chapter 1285. Join this North American Light organization? An elite didn't want to be a traitor. He also didn't want to become the useless person he used to be. Comparing the current supernatural organization to the past supernatural organization was like a sheep leading a flock of sheep. But now, it was like a lion leading a pack of wolves. An elite didn't want to be a lion in a flock of sheep because he felt that if he stayed in such an environment for too long, he would become a sheep too. In his eyes, the North American Light Organization was a flock of sheep. He only hoped to follow in the lion's footsteps. Only by looking at the lion's back did he know how to walk his path. Russell walked to the white-haired woman. "Zella, what are you looking at?" "That man is very powerful," Zella said. "I tried to rope him in, but he refused." "Oh? For you to call him powerful. How powerful must he be?" Russell Nanda looked at Zella in surprise. When she first met Zella, Russell Nanda's evaluation was only not bad, nothing more. Of course, the current Russell Nanda was different from before. "If you don't use your secret technique, you won't be able to defeat him. If I clash with him within 5 meters, I'll be killed instantly. As for you, you can't even guarantee your own safety within 20 meters. Is there a way to rope him in? It's probably difficult. He's very powerful, but he's willing to disguise himself as an insurance salesman. This means he's not willing to participate in the supernatural world. Then forget it." Russell felt it was a pity when he heard Zella's words. It was rare to meet such a powerful spiritualist. It was such a pity that he couldn't recruit him. But they weren't an evil organization. They wouldn't use evil methods to force him to join them. "Oh, I've already leaked the information about the supernatural organization's evil spirit organization to the leaders of all the organizations, but I don't think many will really go." "Why?" Zella asked, confused. "I don't have a good reputation," Russell said helplessly. "But it's good to have a few." Crown and Dillas stood at the door to welcome Adu's back. The two of them were marginal characters and did not have much popularity even in the evil spirit group, but Adu's just happened to be of the same ilk. Now that Adu's was injured, the two of them wanted nothing more than to tear the people who hurt him to pieces. If they could win, even if Offit was locked up in the dungeon, the two little evil spirits wouldn't be able to defeat him. At this moment, Klaus's car drove into the headquarters, and Aduz alighted from the car. When Erdos was discharged from the hospital, it was Klaus who went to fetch him. "Crone, Dillas, how are you?" Aduz had been lying in the hospital for more than 10 days. He could have been discharged a few days earlier, but West kept saying that he would be under observation. That was why he was finally discharged after more than 10 days. Aduz excitedly hugged Crone and Dillas passionately. Sure enough, only by returning to this place could he feel the value of his existence. The hospital was too boring. Aduz even felt that the hospital wasn't a place he should be at. Whenever he went to the courtyard of the hospital, a group of old men and women would come over to complain to him about their pain. Aduz felt that he was different from them. He was not one of those damned old men and women. He was a true warrior. When the demon army invaded last time, he had killed a demon with his own hands. Last time when that group of people attacked, he was only slightly injured by their sneak attack because he was careless for a moment. That definitely wasn't his true strength. "Hey, Aduz, are you back?" Just then, Pamela floated over. "Don't come near me. If you come near me, my cold legs will act up." Aduz immediately jumped back. "Okay, I'm joking. Nice to see you again, Miss Pamela." Aduz breathed in the air. This place is still the most comfortable. Just then, Unelite drove in. "Aduz, why are you back? I didn't know you were discharged until I went to the hospital. Why didn't you tell me?" "It was Klaus who took me out of the hospital." "Klaus, that bastard. I can leave the hospital on my own. I'm not an old man. I don't need you to take care of me." Aduz was never one to be old, especially here. Klaus shrugged. "I was afraid that you'd be late. The president knew that you'd come today and left a lot of food. It's not available on the market." "Oh, where's the president?" "Someone attacked Miss Phalai. He's angry now." "What? Who dared to attack Miss Phalai?" "Crown, take out my weapon. I'm going to kill all those bastards." "All right, it's just a bunch of normal people. The president and Mr. West already went to deal with it." "Aduz, go inside. The party is about to start," Pamela said. "You can't miss the food. After all, even spirits liked the food that Chun Zhao had left behind. It was all magic food. It couldn't be bought on the market. One was even the immortal bird. Legend had it that eating the immortal bird's flesh would grant one immunity to fire. Of course, it wasn't that good in reality, but it did grant a certain level of heat resistance. It also had a certain amplification effect on fire magic. Magic food couldn't give normal people magic power, but there would occasionally be some special effects. It was like awakening, but not fully awakening. It could be considered a mutation. Of course, the chances were very low. Everyone mainly liked the taste and texture of the magic food. The sky darkened, and everyone started the party. Apart from the people locked in the dungeon, everyone in the headquarters came to the party, including the evil spirit group. However, there were 30 female evil spirits. They were in the process of turning into banshees, so they couldn't join the party. Also, because Chun Zhao wasn't here, the evil spirits were rather relaxed. "Lady Pamela, let me toast you." Crown held his glass. It was the purple brew that Chun Zhao had provided. It was extremely expensive outside, but they could enjoy it freely here. Pamela responded to Crown's toast. After drinking, she took a deep breath. The wine was filled with magic. It was really irresistible. Suddenly, Pamela raised an eyebrow. Just then, Klaus also put down his glass. He heard the roar of a motorcycle outside. Chapter 1286. The door of the headquarters was smashed open by a car. Just like the last time Offit broke into the headquarters. There was no greeting at all. This was a naked invasion. It was an enemy. There were a few commercial cars behind, all filled with people. They jumped out of the cars as soon as they broke into the headquarters. Pamela appeared in front of everyone. "Look, there's an evil spirit. There really is an evil spirit. Looks like Mr. Russell South didn't lie to us. This mission can be completed easily." One of the psychics had a weapon that looked like a gun aimed at Pamela. Bang! The gun didn't shoot bullets or energy. Instead, it was a net. The net covered Pamela directly. Pamela could feel that the net was special and had rune power on it. Pamela's expression immediately changed. Pamela screamed at the person in front of her. Boom! The person's body exploded. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Everyone was stunned. Instantly, all the spells poured toward Pamela. Pamela was even angrier. Her warning didn't work. She looked at the 30 or 40 people before her. Cold air suddenly surrounded Pamela. Her body suddenly relaxed, and she let out another shrill scream. The cold air turned into thousands of icicles along with the screams, spreading in all directions. The spiritualist at the front was the first to be hit. The moment he touched the icicles, his soul was pierced and his body shattered like ice. Seeing that things were bad, the spiritualists behind hurriedly used defensive spells. But they still underestimated how terrifying Pamela was. The tens of thousands of icicles destroyed everything. They were as unreasonable as a metal storm. The defensive spells could block one icicle or two, but they couldn't block 100 or 1,000. In an instant, the bodies and souls of the 40 spiritualists were shattered. Only puddles of ice were left on the ground. Just then, the car at the back suddenly started. It turned and fled out of the headquarters. There were 2 other people in the car. They'd come to join in the fun, but they'd never dreamed that they'd encounter such a terrifying evil spirit here. No, it definitely wasn't an evil spirit. There couldn't be such a terrifying evil spirit. That definitely wasn't the power of an evil spirit. It was a demon. Dozens of spiritualists were slaughtered in an instant. They didn't think they were hunting. He was sending himself into the tiger's den. Pamela saw the escaping car and shrieked again. The MPV was dismembered. Pamela floated above the car. After checking, she saw a pool of blood and flesh on the driver's seat. After confirming that there was no aura of a living person, he slowly turned around and left. After Pamela left, someone crawled out of the car. This person looked in the direction of the supernatural organization's headquarters and ran into the darkness. He was frightened, truly frightened. Odenkirk fled back to the North American Light Society headquarters. Odenkirk, how come you're back so soon? Did the mission go smoothly? Russell saw Odenkirk return, but things seemed to be different from what he imagined. Odenkirk looked a little disheveled. Did something happen? Russell, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Odenkirk suddenly lost control and pounced at Russell Nanda. Russell Nanda quickly stepped back. What are you doing? Odenkirk, I won't go easy on you if you do this again. It's you. You kill my friends. You Astra's Shoal, you're sending us to our deaths. Death? What happened? You don't know. You did it on purpose. You told us that there were many evil spirits there, but we only met one. But that evil spirit, what happened to her? There's so many of you, and you can't even catch one evil spirit, right? She killed all of us. Not just my people, but everyone who went with us. They all died. They all died to that evil spirit. In just one move. She killed all of us with one move. What? Russell Nanda looked at Odenkirk in shock. How is that possible? You're not normal people. How can this happen? That's the truth. That wasn't an evil spirit at all. It was a monster. My friends, my brothers, everything I had is gone. Odenkirk roared and cried. Russell Nanda was deep in thought. His expression also became very ugly. How could it be? How could an evil spirit have such terrifying power? Could this be the reason why the supernatural organization couldn't cleanse Mapleville after so many years? If that was the case, everything would make sense. If such a terrifying evil spirit existed in Mapleville, it would indeed be difficult to destroy. In the end, they had to negotiate with the evil spirit group in Mapleville. But this way, the supernatural organization got a bargain. They'd actually obtained such powerful combat power. What a pity. If only this evil spirit could join the North American Illuminati. The next day, Chun Zhao came to the headquarters of the supernatural organization. He realized that the entrance was a bit messy. What happened? President, you're here. Adu saw Chun Zhao and immediately went over to greet him. What's going on? Last night, we had a party at the headquarters, and then these people broke in and attacked Lady Pamela. Then Lady Pamela got angry and killed everyone. Who were they? Chun Zhao didn't care about their lives. I don't know. Lady Pamela was too fast. When we came out, the battle was already over. Oh, forget it, Chun Zhao said. If something like this happens again, leave at least one alive if the conditions allow. At least we'll know who sent them. Coming to his territory to behave atrociously, he deserved to be beaten to death. Chun Zhao didn't mind. What a pity, Adu said regretfully. Lady Pamela was too fast. I wanted to teach these bastards a lesson myself. He really wanted to prove that his injury last time was an accident. President, carrying a backpack, Helith came out. Seeing Chun Zhao, she went over to greet him. Where are you going? I'm lacking some summoning materials. I heard that there's an abandoned cemetery in the southwest. I plan to go there. I probably won't be back tonight. I know that cemetery, Chun Zhao said. It's quite far. I'll take you there. Subconsciously, he still treated Helith like a child. Chapter 1287. Chun Zhao drove Halleys to the abandoned cemetery. Chun Zhao sensed that there were a few powerful spirits nearby. However, he was only slightly stronger and posed no threat to Blackie. Moreover, he could feel that Gila's perception of the dead was stronger than his. She must have felt it too. How long are you staying here? Chun Zhao asked. 1 day should be enough. We just need to find some skeletons. Then I'll pick you up tomorrow, or call me when you're done. Guild leader, I'm not a child. All right, I'm leaving. Helly's was speechless. Everything about her president was good, but he treated her too much like a child. It was probably because he was not strong enough that the president always felt that he needed to be taken care of. Gila's style of doing things was very planned. Whatever she did today, she would do it tomorrow. He would enter the training tower's 4th floor twice a week. Then he spent the next 2 days meditating and studying black magic. In the extra time, he would carry out various combat missions to enrich himself. When Chun Zhao returned to the city, a bus suddenly passed by. Then Chun Zhao heard a scream. Looking back, he saw a head poking out of the bus window. It was the girl named Jomais. Hi, uncle. Chun Zhao immediately pretended not to see anything and left. Jamies immediately said to the bus driver, Stop the bus, stop the bus. Amy, where are you going? Let's go out and play, Jamies said. We're on a mission right now. We're competing, Kingsley said. It's just capturing a few evil spirits. It doesn't matter if I'm here or not. Gimli looked at the other members of the Tide Guild, but Serena said, It doesn't matter. We're just capturing a few evil spirits anyway. We don't need so many people. Can I go with you? It's my first time in Los Angeles. I didn't even get a chance to go out and play. A female member of the Tide said, I'll go too. I'll go too. Several members who were about the same age as Jamie's all wanted to go out and play. With Jamie's taking the lead, they naturally didn't want to fall behind. Kinley looked at Serena. Serena looked helpless as well. He had thought that Xiaomi was alone. In the end, after she took the lead, a group of people followed suit. Forget it. All of you can go. You can play however you want. Billy, stay here. We need you for our operation. Yes, big sister. Billy nodded. Come back at night. Don't spend the night outside. Gimli was still a little worried about the children. Xiao Misai and the other young people all got off the car and went out to play in groups of 2s and 3s. Dorink had always been Jamie's follower. Jamie's, where are we going? Let's go find that uncle. You should be very familiar with Los Angeles. Let him take us there. We don't know him that well. Who said we're not? We even saved him before. Have you forgotten? That doesn't count as saving him. The person who kidnapped him didn't intend to kill him, said Dorink. I don't care. We save him anyway. Let me see where he is now. Jamie's closed her eyes for a moment before opening them again. Turn right at the intersection ahead. We have 2 legs. He's driving a car. Can't we hail a taxi? After driving for more than 10 minutes, he suddenly felt a car following him. He glanced at the rearview mirror. It was a taxi. Chun Zhao parked by the roadside and saw 2 girls run out of the car. Chun Zhao immediately wanted to run back, but it was too late. Hey, uncle, we meet again. We're really fated. Who's fated with you? How did you know I was here? Would you believe me if I said we know magic? Chun Zhao had already known that they were witches at the airport in Hawaii. Thinking about it carefully, it wasn't surprising that they could find him with magic. You really don't believe me. Jamies looked at Chun Zhao smile. But it's normal. Most people don't believe that magic exists in this world. Why are you looking for me? Take us out to play. I'm not free. What do you want to do? Work. What do you do for a living? University professor. Liar. There's no professor as young as you. You finally admit that I'm young. Let's go. I'll treat you to dinner. The food here is really good. Jamie's wiped the grease off her lips in an unladylike manner. This place must be really expensive, right? It's all right. The minimum spending at Marina Restaurant was $800. Those who could come here would usually spend more than $3,000. It was noon, so there weren't many people in the restaurant. But at night, it was hard to find a table here. Uncle, you're rich, right? From Jamie's point of view, Chen Zhao must be very rich since he took them to such an expensive restaurant and a private room in a first-class cabin. Yes, I do have some money. Do you want to sponsor us? If you have any trouble in the future, we can help you solve it. No need. I believe I can solve any problem myself. If I can't, you probably can't either. That's not for sure. You don't even know our abilities. Well then, go kill the one in the White House. See? If I can't do it, you can't do it either. Don't joke around. We're not terrorists or killers. Does that mean that apart from that, you can do everything else? Of course. We don't kill people. Okay, I need money. Go rob 100 million from the bank and give it to me. If I have that ability, why would I need your sponsorship? See, I need money. You can't do it either. Astra Shoal, you're messing with us. No. Look at my serious eyes. Why don't I see your serious eyes at all? Okay, are you full? I have something else to do. I'm a man of my word, Jamie said. If you really have something you can't solve, you can find us. Chen Zhao looked back at Jamie's and Dorinko. He only smiled and left. At the same time, the bus stopped outside the abandoned cemetery. Kingsley, Serena, and Billy alighted and realized that there were two more buses parked in front of them. Just like their bus, they were both from the North American Illuminati. The drivers were also from the Illuminati. Serena frowned. Someone got here before us. Are we still going in? Kingsley asked. Billy, are there many evil spirits inside? Chapter 1288. How strong? If it's the three of us, we might be able to take care of one, Billy said. But if a few strong, evil spirits gather together, we'll be in danger. The group that went in before us should be able to attract the evil spirits' attention. I don't think they have the ability to capture all the evil spirits individually. Are the evil spirits here really that scary? Jimmy had never encountered such a strong, evil spirit. The evil spirits here must have devoured all the evil spirits in the graveyard, leaving only a few strong ones. They can't do anything to each other, which is why they're so scary, Billy said. As long as we're careful, it'll be fine, Serena said. All right, the three of them enter the graveyard. Because it had been abandoned for a long time, and no one had taken care of it, the tombstones were all over the place. After walking for a while, Billy suddenly stopped. What's wrong? An evil spirit disappeared, Billy said. Was it destroyed? Huh? Another one disappeared, another one disappeared. Is the group that went in first very strong? Jimmy asked in surprise. No way. I didn't see any particularly strong group this time. Serena glanced at Jimmy. Except for your guards. Just then, a terrified scream came from the graveyard. Then, the three of them saw more than 20 people running away in panic. Behind them, there were 4 more evil spirits. Huh? They're being chased by evil spirits. No, they're running in different directions. They're not being chased by evil spirits. They're running together, Serena said. Only then did Gimli realize that they were indeed running away. But so were the evil spirits. What's in there? So scary. There's an aura. A very strong magic power has appeared in front of us, Billy suddenly said in fear. Kingsley and Serena also sensed the powerful magic. They looked into the depths of the graveyard and saw a girl in black standing there. The three of them backed away in fear. The girl in black was emitting a terrifying aura. Let's go, Serena said. We can't stay here any longer. That girl is very scary. We'll be killed by her. Kingsley and Billy thought so too. This magic made it impossible for them to resist. It was better for them to escape as soon as possible. The three of them left the cemetery. Fortunately, the girl in black did not chase after them. Another group of people had also escaped. Some of them could no longer stand up and were lying on the ground, panting. Are you body from the new era? Serena looked at one of them. She recognized one of them. She had interacted with him before. Serena, why are you here? Just like you guys. What's going on? We heard that there were evil spirits here, so we came to capture them. When we arrived, we discovered that the evil spirits were surrounding that black-clothed girl. We wanted to help, but that black-clothed girl chased us away. I wanted to teach her a lesson, but what was the result? That black-clothed girl accidentally killed 2 evil spirits. Slip up? What do you mean? She wanted to capture the evil spirits alive, but because of our harassment, she ended up killing 2 of them. Then, she took it out on us, and even injured Nyan. What's with that black-clothed girl? Do you know her? Is she also one of the contestants? I don't know her. I've never heard of such a terrifying witch. I don't think she's one of the contestants, Kimley said. If she is, we don't have to compete anymore. Everyone fell silent. Indeed, just the black-clothed girl's aura alone was enough to make them stop. According to Body, the girl was actually facing a few powerful evil spirits by herself and still had the upper hand. Moreover, if the black-clothed girl wanted to eliminate those evil spirits, she should be able to do so easily. Let's go. Let's leave this place. If that black-clothed girl comes out, it'll be troublesome. Everyone hurriedly returned to the bus and left the abandoned cemetery. Looks like isn't as simple as we thought, Kimley said. The world is so big. It's not strange to have 1 or 2 powerful spiritualists occasionally, Serena said. Maybe she's the only one in all of L. Hey, don't you know what happened last night? Know what? 4 organizations went to the place Russell Nanda provided, but only 1 escaped. That survivor has been sent to the hospital by Russell Nanda, and he doesn't allow us to contact him. What about the others? They're all dead. The person who asked for it was screaming along the way. Many people heard him. Russell Nanda probably wouldn't do that. Even if he wanted to eliminate the contestants, he wouldn't send them to their deaths. I suspect that even Russell Nanda didn't expect this. Things have gone out of control, Kimley said. Maybe Russell Nanda's initial goal was to eliminate a few groups of contestants, but something unexpected happened and caused casualties. Looks like we have to be wary of Russell Nanda. Be careful not to be led into a ditch by him. Indeed, I don't know what kind of enemy they encountered. So many people died. For example, that black-clothed girl has the ability to kill all of us. Yes. Luckily, we escaped quickly. Luckily, they had an evil spirit compass like Billy. Within the 48 hours, they finally caught 10 evil spirits. However, there were many contestants this time, and they all had their own abilities. Even the stupidest method was to find a local guide to find the so-called haunted houses or haunted places. So, most of them completed the mission. When they gathered in the conference hall for the second time, Kimley realized that half of the people were gone. Seems like many teams have been eliminated, Kimley thought. Russell Nanda came. He acted as if nothing had happened. First of all, congratulations on completing the first event. Now, there are 25 groups left, which is 250 people. Now, I'll explain the second event. Chapter 1289. I passed. Unelite ran into the front hall of the headquarters excitedly. There weren't many people there today. Unelite couldn't find anyone to share his joy with. Then he ran to the guard booth at the entrance and pulled Aduz aside. Aduz, I passed. What did you pass? First level of the Tower of Trials. I passed the first level. Unelite shouted excitedly. He became the 4th person to pass the first level after Gaia, Norma, and Heliais. Moreover, he was the first male to do so. Congratulations. Aduz also had a trial ring. He'd even tried a few times. Everyone knew the result. If he went in alone, he usually wouldn't last more than 10 seconds. But Aduz also knew how difficult it was to pass. He also knew how terrifying Chen Zhao, who'd passed the 7th level, was. The fact that an elite was able to pass the first level showed how powerful he was. But Aduz didn't expect an elite to be the first male to pass, except for Chen Zhao. That day, an elite didn't go to work at the insurance company anymore. He would talk to whoever came to the headquarters. Joy had to be shared. If no one shared it, it would be meaningless. Of course, if someone was happy, someone would be sad. For example, Jalanash. She'd always thought that she'd be the fourth person to pass the first level. Most people in the association thought so too. The first three were all female: Gaia, Norma, and Helais. This proved that witches were indeed more powerful than wizards. But she didn't expect that an elite, who'd always kept a low profile, would be the fourth person to pass the first level of the Tower of Trials. Everyone could see Angelite's strength. Angelite's magic was speed. He was also the only one who could compete with Chun Zhao in speed. But no one expected an elite to be the fourth. But this also caused the association members to start a crazy trip to the Tower of Trials again. In fact, many of the members were not far behind. Take Jalanash, for example. She had originally thought that she would be the fourth, and it was not without reason. She could kill around 90 monsters now. She believed that she'd be able to pass the first level soon. However, an elite beat her to it, which made her really angry. There was also Giselle, Morid, and more. They were not far from Jalanash and were all very likely to make it to fourth place. Only West and Patya were unperturbed. The two of them were complete support. It was basically impossible for them to pass the first level alone. Getkira and Donya Tianshi belonged to the last batch of members to join the association. For the time being, they were not ranked, so the two of them could only compete with each other. This time, I'll go in and kill a few more, and tomorrow, you'll go in and kill a few more. It's a competition. Next was Alice. Although she also knew offensive magic, she was generally classified as a support type witch or a functional witch. Pan and Eric were in the second group, about the same strength as Jalanash and the others. The first group consisted of Gaia, Norma, and Hallis. The strength of the three of them was indisputable. There was also Moraz. She had only entered the Tower of Trials once and never entered again. She was originally Offit's subordinate and was forced to join the association. Her strength was not outstanding, and she was purely a support. She could not adapt to the battles in the Tower of Trials at all. The 5 members of the Lightning team were not spiritualists, but they had been baptized by strengthening potions. They also had extremely strong battle awareness, so they had always worked together to attack the Tower of Trials. Their current best result was 60 monsters on the first level. After all, it was very difficult for a team of 5 to enter. They had also formed their own battle style. If one of them could not do anything, the 5 of them together would definitely be able to do it alone. Of course, there was also an invisible member in the association, Asalisa. However, she was still a two-faced person and basically had no contact with the association. She would occasionally send messages to Chun Zhao and West. Moore and Morid were also quite dissatisfied with Angelite's sudden increase in strength. They said that they would all be mediocre together, but you're secretly becoming strong. On this day, Jalanash and Morid reached the second level almost one after the other. Jalanash had wanted to be proud, but Morid also broke through, which greatly reduced her excitement. Forget about an elite, what was going on with Morid? Either way, Jalanash was very upset. When Chun Zhao heard that 3 people had broken through the first level today, he was very happy. He praised the 3 of them and even gave them a raise in salary and benefits. In the current society, one could not rely on personal worship to form a team. Without proper treatment, why would people follow you? Actually, Chun Zhao had seen their hard work. Jalanash's breakthrough was natural, but Chun Zhao did not expect an elite and Mord's breakthroughs. It was not that he looked down on them, but they did not usually show it. Gaia, did you hear? An elite, Jalanash, and Morid all broke through the first level. Oh, that fast? Looks like I have to work hard too. I'll try to break through the second level this month, Gaia said. Although Gaia was busy filming the movie, she did not stop cultivating. Whenever she could enter the Tower of Trials, she would go in immediately no matter what. Come back quickly tonight. There's a party at the headquarters. Okay, I'll come back after picking up Evans. Come back directly after you're done, Chun Zhao said. I'll go pick up Evans. Okay. Gaia was not worried about Chun Zhao. Moreover, Chun Zhao had picked up Evans for her a few times. Gaia had finished filming her scenes long ago, but her work was not done yet. She was mainly in charge of directing the movements. Of course, she would also help the crew with some small problems. Woof! As soon as Gaia hung up the phone, she looked down and saw a fat Alaskan dog biting into her pants. Gaia picked up the puppy that had probably just been weaned and walked into the crew. Whose dog is it? Everyone in the crew asked, but no one answered Gaia's question. Since no one wants it, I'll bring it back. Evan should like it, Gaia thought. After finishing today's work, Gaia carried the puppy back to the headquarters. Chapter 1290. The dog is in the car in front. Yes, that's what the North American Illuminati's magic beacon shows. The North American Illuminati is really troublesome. If they give everyone a tracking magic beacon, what's the point of the competition? The North American Illuminati wants us to fight for the same goal, the driver said. The driver said, if each team can only find 4, then all the participating teams will be eliminated. However, this will definitely not happen. There will definitely be a few strong teams that will gather first, and the slightly weaker teams will have to compete. The North American Radiant Club wants to ensure that those with potential advance first, and then eliminate the weak teams. Boss, are we a weak team then? We're Wolf Deity, the big man in the passenger seat snorted. We're not those weaklings. Their organization was called Wolf Deity, and they were different from ordinary supernatural organizations. Wolf Deity was a mercenary, so they had rich combat experience. The second event of the North American Psychic Competition was to find and capture 5 mixed magical creatures. Wolf Deity's boss, Lone Wolf, thought that every member was an elite and did not need to search in groups, so the 10 members were divided into 5 groups of 2. Hey, Lone Wolf suddenly saw another car drive past. Fuck, competitors are here. Boss, they seem to have a lot of people. What should we do? Chase the car in front and stop it, Lone Wolf said. Here. Of course, hurry up. Grab the thing and leave, Lone Wolf urged. There's no one else on the road. Oh, okay. The driver could only speed up and rush to the car in front. He turned the steering wheel and stopped the car in front. But just then, the car that had been chasing the same target also stopped. It was not the group that Lone Wolf had found, but 4 or 5 groups that had all bumped into each other. Gaia saw that she had been stopped by an unfamiliar car and frowned. After she left the set, she had felt a car following her. She just could not figure out who it was. Revenge? Or some kind of robber? Gaia carried Jamie out of the car. Just then, a dozen people got out of the 4 or 5 cars. There were men and women, dressed in all sorts of strange ways. Gaia was a little confused. Were robbers nowadays so unconventional? Kinley and Serena cooperated as usual. Both sides had agreed that after one team found 5 hybrid magic creatures, they would help the other team search for them. There are so many competitors. How could it be such a coincidence that they're all gathered on the same target? Serena said in a low voice. I reckon there will be a huge battle soon, Jimmy said with a frown. This was only the second round, and they were already going to start fighting? Don't do anything first. We'll take over after they're done. Serena clearly wanted to reap the benefits. They're not idiots. Who wouldn't want to reap the benefits? Gimli said, There's really someone who's an idiot. Ha! The person who stopped the car, Lone Wolf, is an idiot who only knows how to use force. He will definitely rob it later, and after that, the others will definitely stop him. Serena said, Indeed, just as Serena had guessed, Lone Wolf swaggered toward the woman. Who are you people? Gaia shouted. None of your business. Give me the dog in your arms. Lone Wolf walked in front of Gaia and reached out to grab Jamie, who was in Gaia's arms. Gaia single-handedly grabbed Lone Wolf's wrist. Is this dog yours? Cut the crap. Lone Wolf raised his leg and kicked Gaia's stomach. Gaia took 2 steps back. Lone Wolf was a little surprised. He was an enhancer. Even though he hadn't used his full strength in that kick, it definitely wasn't something an ordinary person could withstand. However, this tall woman only took 2 steps back. Not bad. You can withstand my kick. Lone Wolf suddenly sped up and charged toward Gaia. Gaia was already enraged. She looked at the charging Lone Wolf. Bang! With a punch, half of Lone Wolf's face caved in, and he lay on the ground, motionless. Whoosh! Suddenly, there was the sound of something cutting through the air. Gaia twisted her shoulder, but she couldn't dodge the sneak attack. Her shoulder was cut by a crossbow bolt. Gaia's expression immediately darkened. These weren't ordinary people. The surrounding atmosphere had also become heavy. Gaia's body emitted a violent aura. This aura brought with it an oppressive feeling. Everyone was out of breath, and it also stimulated everyone's nerves, making them restless and agitated. So scary. This woman isn't ordinary. Kim's expression changed slightly. Serena's face twitched slightly. She was trying her best to resist this violent feeling. Kill! Everyone roared at the same time and charged toward Gaia. They were forced to do so by her aura. But in the next instant, a wave of heat erupted from Gaia's body. There was also an oppressive feeling that was 10 times more terrifying. Scram! Everyone was instantly sent flying. Rings of fire appeared around Gaia's feet. Everyone fell to the ground pathetically as they looked at the godlike Gaia in horror. Even Gaia was somewhat surprised. She had actually comprehended a deeper level of bloodline power, Dragon's aura. In the past, Gaia could also release Dragon's aura, but it was different now. In the past, her aura was restrained and not released. Now, however, her aura had been achieved. Gaia looked at the injured people on the ground and snorted coldly. She returned to the car and drove away. For the dozen people present, this was definitely an extremely humiliating experience. But they were filled with despair toward that tall and big woman. That godlike power wasn't something that humans could hope to achieve. Too scary. Kim was the least injured, and he was standing at the back. He helped Serena up. Serena, how are you? I'm fine. Serena suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. But this mouthful of blood had spat out the pent-up pressure in her heart. Her body was a lot more relaxed. Damn it, who is that woman? She's too scary. Is there anyone in this world that can be her match? Maybe the girl in black we met in the abandoned cemetery during the day can. There are two such terrifying spiritualists in the same city. I can't imagine it. Los Angeles is more dangerous than we thought. Kim and Serena weren't in the mood to look for mixed-blood magical creatures anymore. They dragged their tired bodies back to the headquarters of the North American Light Association. Russell Nanda hurried over. Kim, Serena, I heard that you met a powerful spiritualist outside? Yes, very powerful. You two can't defeat her even if you join forces? Russell Nanda had heard about this from others. He didn't expect that there would be such a powerful spiritualist in Los Angeles that he didn't know about. Chapter 1291. Russell Nanda walked in the garden of the headquarters on his stomach. Just then, Zella appeared behind him without any warning. Sir, what are you thinking about? The supernatural world in L. Hey, is deeper than I thought, Russell Nanda said emotionally. Russell Nanda sighed. Let's not talk about the spiritualist who sold insurance a few days ago. Today, I heard that two extremely powerful spiritualists have appeared. One is a girl in black, and the other is a tall woman. Logically speaking, these two people shouldn't be unknown, but we have never heard of them before coming here. Yet, they're so powerful that it makes one's hair stand on end. Why don't I ask around and see if I can recruit them into our team? Go. Before Russell Nanda moved his headquarters to Los Angeles, he had asked around in Los Angeles. From what he'd heard, the supernatural world in L.A. seemed to only have a few weak people. To the North American Light Society, a big city like L. It was a place with no supernatural forces. It was like a huge cake. As for the original force stationed in L.A., the supernatural organization, Russell Nanda didn't care about them at all. But who would have thought that L.A. would have such a master? Oh, is there any movement from the supernatural organization? Nothing. I remember that West was the acting president, right? What about now? I looked into it a while ago. It seems like a Chinese is the president now. Do you have his information? Some. On the surface, he's a university professor, but he's an illegal doctor in private. He makes a lot of money by practicing medicine illegally. Zella pouted in disdain. TSK, this supernatural organization is really something. They actually found such a person to be the president. I really don't know what West is thinking. Russell Nanda's laughter was filled with disdain. Sir, do you want me to give him some trouble? Don't go to their headquarters. There's a powerful evil spirit there. Russell was still very concerned about the evil spirit that killed dozens of spiritualists. Do you know where he lives? Yes. Go and give him some trouble. To what extent? Zella asked. As long as you don't expose us, Russell Nanda said. Make their new president homeless. Thud, thud, thud. Little Gerlin, stop hitting me. You're going to crack my head. Hanks felt a headache coming on. In the past, Hanks could still endure Gerlin's abuse. At most, Gerlin would hug his skull and bite it. But ever since Chan Zhao returned from outside and gave Gerlin a golden awl, everything changed. Of course, the truth was that Gerlin had stolen the golden awl herself. Chun Zhao had originally kept the golden awl as a decoration. To prevent Gerlin from getting it, he had placed it on a higher shelf. In the end, King Kong helped little Gerlin take it down. From then on, Hank's nightmare began. Hanks felt that his skull had been cracked by the force of the blows. Beautiful Miss Feilai, please save me. Please save me from the hands of this little demon. Hanks could only ask for help from Feilai. Feilai, on the other hand, was studying the Book of Changes, ignoring Hanks's pleas. Someone save me. Hanks wanted to cry, but had no tears. This pair of mother and daughter were really cold-blooded and heartless. Miss Feilai, do you want to hear my adventure stories? Hanks asked, not interested. Chen's adventure stories are better than yours. At first, Feilai was still interested in the so-called Treasure Island, but she slowly lost interest. Of course, the main reason was that she was pregnant. Hank's adventure stories were all the same. It was always about how he experienced difficulties and finally found the so-called treasure. He might as well watch those old-fashioned adventure movies. Just then, Chun Zhao returned to the living room after swimming. He saw Gerlin hugging the skull and the golden awl in her hand. He reached out to grab it. No, don't take my hammer. Don't. Little Gerlin fully displayed her talent of crying and throwing tantrum. She hugged the golden awl tightly and refused to let go. Chin Zhao's face was filled with helplessness. In the past, it was fine if Gerlin hugged the skull, but the golden awl was too dangerous for a child. So, no matter how unhappy Gerlin was, Chun Zhao still took the golden awl. Daddy, oh no, I don't want Daddy anymore. Dear Chun, you're God's messenger. You saved me from this little demon's torture. Chun Zhao grabbed Hanks. Hanks, how did you find the treasure island in the first place? It was God's guidance. Thud. Chun Zhao knocked Hanks with the golden awl. Don't talk nonsense with me. Fine, Hanks said helplessly. I found a great witch. She helped me divine the location of Treasure Island. I passed through the mysterious sea, passed through 7 mysterious islands, and finally arrived at Treasure Island. What about the route? Just then, Feilai put down the book in her hand. Chun, you said that you'd wait for me to give birth, and then go find the Treasure Island together. You can't go back on your word. I didn't say that we're going now. I'm just asking. Let's uncover the secret of the mysterious treasure island together. That's more interesting. Aren't we together now? Nope. Then you can ask. Chun Zhao rolled his eyes. Hanks, let me ask you. Which mysterious sea are you talking about? And what are the 7 mysterious islands? The mysterious sea is not any known sea, only that which can guide a ship into the mysterious sea. In order to guide my ship into the mysterious sea, that great witch turned into a petrel. After bringing my ship into the mysterious sea, she disappeared from this world forever. Now that satellites cover the entire world, there's no mysterious sea. I don't know what satellites are, but the mysterious sea doesn't exist in this world. When the ship entered the mysterious sea, my crew and I saw countless magical or terrifying sea creatures, as well as the 7 mysterious islands. Then tell me about the 7 mysterious islands. I've only been to the first island, the Petrified Island. I saw the legendary Medusa there. Half of the crew was petrified and stayed on the Petrified Island forever. After that, I didn't dare to go to the other islands anymore. I only let the crew go. We kept losing people along the way. When we reached the Treasure Island, only my dog and I were left. Why do you have to go to the island? You know that it's dangerous, but you still want to go? Because only by going to the island and finding the guide can we find the next island. Chapter 1292. Every island has a magical creature, Hanks said. If you find it, you'll be able to get it to guide you to the next mysterious island. Just then, Chun Zhao suddenly frowned. There seemed to be a guest on the other side of Mirror Lake. At the same time, 2 men and 1 woman came from the other side. All 3 had white hair. Zella glanced at Hoey beside him. Hoey, that person's house is in front. Destroy it completely? Yes, destroy it. Zella nodded. Okay, I understand. Hoey took a step forward and chanted an incantation. His arms began to slowly rise. Just then, waves appeared on the surface of the lake. At first, it was just a small ripple. But as the ripple spread, the waves grew larger and larger. When the waves were 100 meters out, they were already several meters high. Moreover, it was still rising. Hoey's arms rose higher and higher, and the waves grew higher and higher. Finally, the waves reached a height of more than 30 meters. Hoey suddenly pushed out his palms. A 30-meter-high wave could capsize even a medium-sized ocean-going ship in the sea. By now, Hoey was already having trouble, but he still persisted and kept releasing his magic. Go! Hoey yelled. The waves instantly sped up and rushed toward the villa. Chun Zhao's expression changed. He saw the waves coming at him. Chun Zhao's anger soared instantly. But seeing the waves, Chun Zhao could only release dark lava to cover Fei Lai and Zherlin. Boom! The waves hit the villa, and the entire front hall fell into darkness. But the villa was unharmed. After the waves receded, Chun Zhao was stunned. Apart from some water seeping in through the crack of the door, the villa was still intact. The waves, just now, were shockingly powerful, but it was clearly impossible to destroy the villa in one go. Robio had designed this villa meticulously. According to Chun Zhao's request, he designed it for hurricane, flood, and earthquake protection. Robio had helped Chun Zhao design it wholeheartedly. He hadn't done it half-heartedly. The impact this time fully showed Robio's intentions. Chun Zhao's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Hugging Fei Lai and Zherlin gently, he turned back to look at Fei Lai. Chun, what's going on? It's fine. Maybe someone's messing around here. I'll go take a look. Chun Zhao handed Zherlin to Fei Lai. Hoey, why isn't it working? That villa is stronger than I thought. Hoey said helplessly. Can you do it again? Zella asked. I can't, unless I use a secret technique. Then, Zella was just about to use the secret method. Suddenly, she felt a dangerous aura. A 3-headed hound had appeared in the forest by the shore. It was a Cerberus. Zella instantly bristled. At this moment, another white-haired man stepped forward. Appleton, stop it, Zella said solemnly. But at this moment, there was a rustling sound in the grass on the right. The 3 of them turned around and saw 9 huge snake heads poking out of the grass. The surface of the lake suddenly rippled, and a giant object rose from the water. That one was so big that it made one's scalp go numb. The moment Amon came out of the water, Zella, Hoey, and Appleton finally realized that they were in big trouble. Zella saw a figure standing above them. This person is flying? When did he appear? Chun Zhao slowly descended from the sky. Welcome to my house. Chun Zhao looked at the 3 with a smile. Can I know why you're here? And your identities? Sir, I'm sorry, Zella said calmly. We were practicing magic here. We lost control just now. Her tone was sincere and apologetic. I see. Chun Zhao scratched his head. My house has been damaged and suffered heavy losses, so I need some compensation. Can you tell me which organization you're from? At least I can ask for some compensation from your organization. We're just idle spiritualists, Zella said. We're not organized. Suddenly, a wave of heat hit them. The 3 were shocked. A fiery red figure charged over and pushed Hoey to the ground, opening its mouth to bite. Seeing that Hoey was attacked, Zella and Appleton were about to attack. But the next moment, a sword struck. Zella's arm flew up. Sorry, my pet didn't seem to be full at noon. Chun Zhao watched as Abitos tore off Hoey's flesh. Hoey screamed in pain. Now, can you tell me which organization you're from? North American Illuminati, Zella said, holding his arm, his face pale. Chen Zhao took out his phone. West, gather everyone. That's right, everyone. I'm going to kill someone today. Oh, right. What's your address? You think I'll tell you? North American Illuminati headquarters. Russell Nanda's expression changed. Hoey's dead. Just then, two white-haired men rushed into Russell South's office. Sir, Hoey's dead. Yes, I felt it. What happened? Who killed Hoey? Where'd he go? Russell did not answer his subordinates. He picked up the phone and called Zella. Hello. A stranger's voice came from the other end. Who are you? Russell asked, frowning. You sent people to attack me and my family. How come you don't even know who I am? How's Zella now? You'll know soon. I'm warning you, Russell growled. If you dare to hurt Zella, I won't let you go. Oh, I want to try my courage. The tone on the other end was frivolous. Stop right there, and then, Zella's pregnant. Hearing the words, Chen Zhao froze. He glanced at the pale-faced Zella. After a moment of hesitation, can you tell me your address? I want to return this pregnant woman to you. If you dare to come, then come. Russell gave the address to Chen Zhao. Sir, what's going on? Supernatural organization, Russell Nanda said, his face livid. Supernatural organization? They dare to mess with us? Gather everyone and prepare for battle. They should be here soon. Are they our people? Or are the contestants gathering too? Russell's eyes flashed. After a moment of hesitation, he said, No need. We have enough people. Russell Nanda was furious, but he had to calm down because of the situation. Chapter 1293. What's wrong with the North American Illuminati? They look like someone owes them money. I don't know. I saw them wearing a lot of weapons just now. It looks like they're going to fight someone. Whatever. It's none of our business, Jomiai said nonchalantly. Not only did Jomiai and Dorinko realize the problem, but many people in the North American Illuminati's headquarters also realized it. Nevertheless, they were the kind of people who didn't care about it. The headquarters of the North American Illuminati is so big. When can our headquarters be so big? We can have a few hundred people and it won't be crowded, Jomiai said enviously. We only have 8 people. Why do we need to build it so big? The North American Illuminati only have around 20 people. They didn't build it so big. I think that if they have money, they should spend it like this. That's how they can show off their authority. Look, they're coming out. Dorinko, why do they all have white hair? Is it a trend to dye their hair white? No, it should be some kind of secret technique. Dorinko shook her head. But I don't know what it is either. Russell Nanda's expression was extremely serious. He didn't smile, just like a volcano that was about to erupt. His subordinates behind him were also filled with righteous indignation. At the same time, Chen Zhao was driving his car. Zella sat beside him, but her face was extremely pale and her body kept trembling. The 2 buses in front of them took the lead to clear the way. Zella was pregnant, but now one of her arms was cut off, and now she was in a state of collapse. Vaguely, she regretted attacking Chen Zhao's home without investigating him thoroughly. Just then, West called. President, the headquarters of the North American Illuminati should be in front. If we're going to attack someone's headquarters, we should just knock on the door, Chen Zhao said. In the previous 2 attacks of different degrees, the enemy had just knocked on the door. Everyone in the bus also felt that since they were going to fight, they should indeed appear like this. Boom! The door of the North American Illuminati's headquarters was knocked open. Jomiai and Dorinko were both shocked. Who is it? Is it an enemy? The North American Illuminati are preparing for battle and waiting for them. Dorinko was shocked. Huh? Amy, look at that person. Jamie's looked over and saw Chen Zhao. It's him? Why is he here? Jamie's had an incredulous look on her face. Chen Zhao got out of the car with his hands in his pockets. The members of the supernatural organization also got out one after another. West held a head in his hand and strode to Russell Nanda. He casually tossed Appleton's head in front of Russell Nanda. Mr. Russell, this is yours. I'll return it to you. What do you mean? Russell Nanda and his men glared at West angrily. That's what I mean, West said calmly. Bastard. Russell Nanda was furious. This is murder. Murder? You sent people to attack our leader. His wife and children are at home. You also sent people to attack our members multiple times. We are enforcing justice. Now, the supernatural organization is officially declaring war on the North American Radiant Society, West said coldly. Although West was usually calmer, even a clay figurine would have some anger. After being harassed so many times, West could no longer keep his cool. Moreover, they'd really gone overboard this time. They'd actually gone to Chun Zhao's house and attacked it. Even if they were judged internationally, they would still be in the right. As an authoritative supernatural organization, they were not allowed to carry out such attacks that involved ordinary people. This could even be judged as a supernatural terrorist attack. Russell Nanda's face was green. He didn't speak anymore. In this situation, words wouldn't be as effective as fists. Do it, Russell Nanda roared. Two white-haired men charged at West, but when they were less than 5 meters away, they suddenly paused. The next moment, an extremely fast figure charged out. The two white-haired men felt a chill on their necks, and their bodies fell to the ground. When everyone saw who it was, they were all dumbfounded. Unelite, I seem to remember that your people didn't sign the insurance contract that day, right? Do you want another one now? Unelite smiled at the people from the Radiant Society. Damn, Paco Luo, and it's you. Russell Nanda's expression turned serious. He remembered Unelite. Back then, he and Zella had wanted to rope Unelite in. He didn't expect Unelite to be from the supernatural organization. Unelite and Wester worked together seamlessly. It could be said that they were the complete opposite of each other's attributes and magic. West's slow field was extremely slow, while Angelite's speed spell was extremely fast. These two completely opposite magic spells brought them terrifying lethality. Who are those people? That uncle isn't an ordinary person. They're so cruel. They killed 2 people from the Radiant Society as soon as they met. Chun Zhao turned to look at Jamies and Dorinko, who were standing on the grass not far away. He smiled. Dragging Zella, he walked toward the 2 girls. Hi, little girl. Chun Zhao greeted the 2 girls with a sincere smile. I didn't expect to see you here. Seeing Zella in Chun Zhao's hand, Russell shouted, Get Zella back. A white-haired giant charged at Chun Zhao, holding a huge axe several meters long. Arg, kid die. Seeing the giant charging at them, Jamies and Dorinko paled in fright. Watch out, but Chun Zhao didn't seem to notice the terror coming from behind. The next moment, a fiery red figure charged out. Just as the giant was about to attack Chun Zhao's back, it crashed into him. The giant man flew dozens of meters away and smashed heavily into the wall of the headquarters. The entire wall collapsed with a loud bang. Gaia's entire body was burning with flames. She crossed her arms in front of her chest, like a god born from the flames. She emitted an inviolable dignity and surging pressure. When the contestants in the headquarters saw Gaia, many of them were horrified. They'd realized that Gaia was the terrifying woman from the previous night. You two are from the North American Illuminati? Chun Zhao asked Jamies and Dorinko. Jamies and Dorinko shook their heads at the same time. No. Chapter 1294. The two glanced at each other, their faces filled with shock. Who are you? Why are you asking so much? Do you want to take revenge for them? Or stand up for them? Sir. Just then, Gimli and Serena ran over in a hurry. Chun Zhao looked at them. Gimli raised his hands. We mean no harm. This has nothing to do with us. As soon as they saw Gaia, they knew something was wrong. At that moment, a green light began to appear in the surrounding bushes. Then, skeleton soldiers walked out of the forest. Gimli and Serena were shocked. They realized that there was a girl in black among the people Chun Zhao had brought. It turned out that the girl in black and the huge woman were together. No wonder they were so strong. But who were they exactly? Also, what grievances did they have with the Illuminati? Gimli looked at Zella, who Chun Zhao was dragging. After a moment of hesitation, he said, Sir, can you let Ms. Zella go, no matter what? He and Zella were friends. Now that he saw Zella's miserable state, he couldn't bear to let her go. Chun Zhao glanced at Zella and tossed her to Gimli. Logically, I shouldn't let her go, but she's pregnant and my wife is too, Chun Zhao said calmly. At the same time, he looked at Zella. I look forward to your revenge, but if you want it, you better think about your child. Gimli held Zella and retreated. This man gave him a very dangerous feeling. Russell Nanda had never taken the supernatural organization seriously. But after the all-out battle, he realized that he'd underestimated the organization. No, more accurately, he'd overestimated the Illuminati. They had overwhelming power. Every member of the supernatural organization had the ability to crush anyone. Once they found a chance, they would attack. It had only been 10 minutes since the start of the battle, but they had already lost 5 of their members. Stop! Russell Nanda was both anxious and angry. He used a secret technique, and his magic power began to rise rapidly. Gimli and Serena couldn't help but look at Russell South. So powerful. When did Russell become so powerful? No, he used a secret technique. Russell Nanda scanned the battlefield and finally fixed his gaze on Chen Zhao. As long as they could capture Chen Zhao, the battle would be over. Russell Nanda took advantage of the fact that no one was in front of him and charged at Chen Zhao without a care. However, it seemed that no one came to stop him. Russell Nanda was secretly delighted. He knew that even if he used the secret technique, he wouldn't be able to completely control the supernatural organization. Perhaps he had a chance in a one-on-one fight, but none of the members of the supernatural organization were weak. It was impossible for him to expel all of them. That was why he decided to capture the ringleader first. Jillian and Serena watched as Russell Nanda approached Chen Zhao. They wondered how Chen Zhao would react. However, just as Russell thought he was about to succeed, Chen Zhao swept his leg out and Russell flew away like a rag doll. Everyone's expressions froze. Was Russell Nanda that weak? In their eyes, Chen Zhao's kick was too ordinary. It was so ordinary that no one could find any highlights. This shouldn't be Russell Nanda's true strength. He shouldn't be this weak. Russell Nanda climbed up with difficulty. His eyes were filled with anger and unwillingness, as well as disbelief. How is this possible? How could that man be so strong? Russell Nanda's body wobbled. He couldn't even stand properly. Chen Zhao's kick indeed looked ordinary, but it was powerful. But the key point was that the force was great. This kick almost shattered Russell South's ribs and shoulder blade. The fact that Russell Nanda was still standing was already a testament to his strong willpower. Finally, the North American Light Society surrendered. They couldn't take this kind of massacre anymore. All of their pride and courage had been destroyed by the supernatural organization's ruthless methods. They knelt on the ground with their hands on their heads. The people from the supernatural organization followed the rules. In modern wars, they weren't as ruthless as they were in ancient times. It was the same for most fights in the supernatural world. Do you still want to fight? Your subordinates have all surrendered. Chen Zhao looked at Russell Nanda. Russell Nanda finally couldn't bear the huge physical and psychological trauma. He knelt on the ground and struggled to support his body with his arms. He couldn't stop crying. Because of his arrogance and ignorance, the North American Light Society was greatly injured. Chen Zhao also felt that the massacre was enough. There was no need to continue. The people of the supernatural organization weren't butchers. They could fight with all their strength against demons, but they were facing humans now. Moreover, there were countless pairs of eyes looking at them. If they went too far, they might become the enemy of the entire North American supernatural world. After all, no matter where you were, it was hard to accept killing your own kind. From now on, the North American Light Society will no longer exist. At least in America, I don't want to hear your name, Chen Zhao said calmly. You have to agree to this request, whether you want to or not. I'm not asking for your opinions. I'm ordering you to do it. Also, Wes will talk to you about the compensation. Chen Zhao turned around and gestured at West. I'll leave him to you, Chen Zhao said. West and Russell Nanda were old acquaintances. But in the past, West had been humiliated by Russell Nanda more than once. West stood there, but Russell Nanda couldn't stand up. West stood there, but Russell South could not stand up. West stood there, but Russell Nanda couldn't stand up. There was no need to say anything. Russell Nanda was already humiliated enough. Or do you need to wait until your injuries are better? Russell Nand raised his head and looked at West with a complicated gaze. Russell Nanda looked up at West with a complicated expression. Was it anger or hatred? The subordinates that he had painstakingly recruited and nurtured were killed by the other party. The subordinate he'd worked so hard to find and train had been killed. But he also regretted it. This conflict could have been avoided. Say it. Russell didn't want to lose his last dignity before West. Even now, he was almost fainting from the pain, but he still gritted his teeth and held on. From now on, the North American Light Society will leave America. Within 3 years, the North American Light Society isn't allowed to enter America. The supernatural organization must make a copy of their magic books and compensate them $20 million. Russell Nanda's heart was bleeding. He looked up at West. What if I don't agree? Chapter 1295. Violence could not solve all problems, but it could solve most of them. Russell Nanda and all the members of the North American Light Society were terrified. They no longer dared to think about the consequences of rejecting West's offer. The authority that the North American Illuminati had built up for more than 20 years had long since disappeared. On the other hand, the supernatural organization was transforming from a lamb to a tiger. No one dared to look down on the supernatural organization anymore. Throughout the battle, the supernatural organization had displayed unparalleled strength. Every one of them could be said to be the cream of the crop. West returned to Chun Zhao's side. President, he agreed to our conditions. I've gotten my revenge, and I've earned some face. It's about time to go. Actually, Chun Zhao had wanted to tear down the entire North American headquarters. However, there were many people in the North American Light Society's headquarters who were here to participate in the competition. If they really demolished the house, it was inevitable that they would accidentally injure others. Chun Zhao didn't plan to become enemies with the entire world. The current spirit world was pretty much the same as the so-called Jianghu. Originally, the North American Radiant Society was considered the leader of the martial arts world. But now, the supernatural organization had risen and defeated the Martial Arts Alliance Master. But that didn't mean the supernatural organization could do whatever they wanted. This was no longer a feudal society, but a society ruled by law. If it was just a small-scale conflict, they could still use the internal rules of the spirit world to adjudicate it. After all, they were the ones in the right. No matter where the North American Radiant Society sued, they would still be in the right. However, if unrelated people were involved, then even if it was reasonable, it would become unreasonable. Guild leader, now that we've established our dominance, the North American Radiant Club can no longer hold this competition. Should we take over? We take over? How much will it cost? Anyway, the compensation from the North American Illuminati is definitely enough for us to hold a competition. Chun Zhao looked at the headquarters of the North American Illuminati. Many people were watching from the windows. These participants are a mix of good and bad. What's the point of competing with these bumpkins? Expand the supernatural organization's influence. This is a rare opportunity. And then, if we expand our influence, there will definitely be more troubles. Apart from that, what else can we gain? For example, in terms of money or power. Chun Zhao asked. This. West hesitated, because it had always been his dream to develop the supernatural organization into a top-tier organization. But now that the opportunity was right in front of him, Chun Zhao objected. West had never considered the issue of benefits. Chun Zhao's question put him in a difficult spot. We are strong now mainly because we're using the elite strategy. Although we have a small number of people, every one of us is an elite. Although we have a lot of funds, if we want to expand our influence, we will definitely need to expand our scale. When that time comes, will our annual funding of $20 million be enough? Right now, all of us have high benefits, but if we lower them, what will the old members think? Chun Zhao looked at West. Chun Zhao wasn't talented in management. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let West manage it. However, Chun Zhao's mind was clear. He knew what the supernatural organization's position was. It's much better to gather our resources on our current members than on the new members who join us out of admiration. Chun Zhao said. Fine. West thought for a moment and finally decided to listen to Chun Zhao's suggestion. There was actually another reason that Chun Zhao didn't mention. That was trouble. The more people the supernatural organization had, the more influence they had, and the more trouble they would have. Right now, Chun Zhao planned to guard this piece of land. He wasn't planning to save the world or maintain world peace. As long as no one caused trouble in his territory, Chun Zhao didn't care who wanted to cause trouble outside. Of course, West had his own considerations. Why was the supernatural organization so strong now? It was because of Chun Zhao and the unity of the old members. If anyone was bullied, they just had to shout and the group would attack them. Plus, they had enough funds, so they had enough resources and good benefits. But if there were more people, the benefits and resources would decrease. Would the old members be happy? If there was such a situation in the organization, then it would be impossible for them to be as united as they were now. It wasn't just Chun Zhao. Most people in the organization didn't want to change this atmosphere. There was another point that West had to consider. There were fewer people now, so everyone helped each other. There were no conflicts of interest. But if there were more people, it was hard to guarantee that people wouldn't form cliques. Never overestimate human nature. There were only about 20 people in the organization now. Chun Zhao was in charge of everything. But if there were more people, who could guarantee that there wouldn't be some idiots who wanted to fight for power with Chun Zhao? With West's understanding of Chun Zhao might not choose to fight for power. Instead, he would choose to leave. Then, the people who had gathered together because of Chun Zhao might also fall apart. The supernatural organization might go back to their old ways. I didn't expect the supernatural organization to be so scary. Jimmy shook his head. In the past, I thought that our guards were strong enough, but any one of the supernatural organization's members can probably wipe out the guards. Where did the supernatural organization find such powerful members? There are always many strong people hiding in the crowd in this world. But why can they be gathered by the supernatural organization? I don't think their president is that strong. He can still defeat Russell Nanda easily after using the secret technique. I don't think he's weak. After Russell used the secret technique, I did feel that his magic power increased a lot, but it doesn't seem special. That's just what you think. I heard that even the headquarters of the Light Society covets this secret technique, but only Russell Nanda has it right now. What's so special about this secret technique? I can't say. Jimmy seemed to be afraid to talk about it. With our relationship, we can't talk about it. This is related to the grudge between the Light Society and the North American Light Society. It's not good for you to know too much. This battle was too sudden, and most people had yet to figure out what was going on. They didn't even know who was fighting the North American Light Society. This caused some rumors to spread among people. Or someone had purposely spread rumors, claiming that the attackers were a group of evil spiritualists. Chapter 1296. The North American Light Society had moved. In one night, everyone had left, including the competitors. But no one dared to come to the supernatural organization for now. The supernatural organization might not have the same authority as the North American Light Society in a short time, but they definitely had a bad reputation. If they had the chance, they would kill. Normal spiritualists would not kill, because killing someone was a very troublesome matter. But the supernatural organization was not afraid of it. As long as they had a reason, they would kill until blood flowed like a river. Russell Nanda gave the money without hesitation. They had to. Otherwise, none of them would be able to leave Los Angeles. After the battle with the North American Light Society, West realized the supernatural organization's position. As for the members of the association, they also realized what level they were at and the difference in strength between them and the other members of the association. There was another big thing, at least for the others in the organization. Gaia had passed the second level of the Tower of Trials. It was another party, although everyone had a good time at the party. But everyone was full of energy, especially those who hadn't even passed the first level. As for the people on the second level, there was still a big gap between them. Norma was the kind of person who didn't fight. If she could pass, she would pass. If she couldn't, she wouldn't risk her life. Because Chun Zhao had led the way, Harold had been struggling on the fourth level. She didn't plan on going down to the second level. Unelite, Jalanesh, and Mord had just reached the second level. They weren't familiar with the monsters there yet, so they were still far from breaking through. There were only two things that Chen Zhao cared about now. First, of course, was Fei Lai's belly. After 6 months of pregnancy, the baby in her belly would develop faster than before. At the same time, the belly would grow bigger faster. Fei Lai's belly would also get bigger and bigger every day. Chen Zhao and Fei Lai went to the hospital for a checkup. The due date was already known. It should be between June 27th and July 1st. Usually, the due date was calculated from the first day of the last menstrual period. After that, there would be 280 days and 7 days of menstruation. However, less than 5% of women could give birth on the day of the due date. Therefore, most hospitals would give 3 or 4 days between the due date and the due date, which belonged to the time limit of the due date. It was also rare to give birth outside of the due date. Chen Zhao also had to listen to the obstetrician about the due date. Chen Zhao himself couldn't be sure. After all, he wasn't very familiar with gynecology. Chen Zhao rarely went out these days. If it wasn't necessary, he wouldn't go out. The other thing was Evans. Although Evans had become a lot more cheerful recently, he still saw that thing. The thing that even Chen Zhao couldn't see. For now, Chen Zhao and Gaia were helpless too. There weren't many things that could make the two of them feel helpless, so it was even more uncomfortable. Of course, the current situation was not bad. Evans did not do anything out of the ordinary. "Mr. Chen, can you come to the beer factory?" Felwood called Chen Zhao. "It's almost finished. Come and see if there's anything that needs to be changed." In fact, Felwood didn't need to inform Chen Zhao. Because of the beer factory, Chen Zhao let Denver take care of everything. Chen Zhao had promised that he wouldn't interfere with the management and production. Apart from arranging for Bant to go in, Chen Zhao didn't really care about anything else. Even for the construction of the beer factory, Chen Zhao only went to the construction site occasionally. "Did you inform Mr. Denver?" "Yes, he'll come in the afternoon." "Okay, call me when he arrives," Chen Zhao said. "I'll go over then." They were less than 5 kilometers away from the beer factory. It wouldn't even take 10 minutes to drive there. In the afternoon, Felwood called again to inform Chen Zhao that Denver had arrived. "Mr. Chen." Denver was quite satisfied with Chen Zhao's trust. He liked this kind of cooperation. For example, he could buy as many machines and raw materials as Denver wanted. Of course, the bills had to be written clearly. Chen Zhao nodded. Just then, Felwood walked out to greet the two. "Mr. Chen, Mr. Denver, hello." Felwood brought the two of them around the construction site. "Mr. Chen, Mr. Denver, do you have any plans to modify the main structure of the factory?" Chen Zhao looked at Denver. "I don't know about that. You can ask Mr. Denver. I just looked at the fermentation pond. It's 30 by 30. I don't think it's big enough, so I suggest expanding it or building another fermentation pond." Denver looked at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao would have to spend money to expand it. But just then, Felwood said, "No problem. I'll arrange for 2 more fermentation ponds to be built in the next 2 days. I'll finish it on time, and it won't affect the quality of the construction." "How much do you need to increase the construction budget?" Chen Zhao asked. "Mr. Chen, the cost of the fermentation pond is very low. You don't have to pay for it." It was low, but one fermentation pond would cost at least hundreds of thousands of dollars. Felwood Cisco said that he would help Chen Zhao build 2 more just to give Chen Zhao a discount. Okay. If I have any more projects, I'll find you." Chen Zhao nodded. Felwood was overjoyed. In less than 2 years, Chen Zhao had already asked him to do 4 projects. Felwood didn't doubt that Chen Zhao would have new projects. "Oh, does your company have experience with island construction?" "Mr. Chen, what kind of construction are you going to do on the island?" Felwood asked. "Private island," Chen Zhao said. Felwood Cisco's heart almost jumped out of his throat. It was a huge project, but you might have to wait until next year, Chen Zhao said. Chen Zhao's private island was still moving. He had to wait for it to move to a suitable location before starting construction. "Mr. Chen, can you show me the structure of the island and the relevant data?" "Not yet," Chen Zhao said perfunctorily. "Plus, I haven't bought the entire island yet." Felwood Cisco thought about it and agreed with what he said. If Chun Zhao didn't buy it, everything would be empty talk. Moreover, buying an island was indeed a complicated matter. It might take 1 or 2 years. Felwood, on the other hand, had a plan in mind. He was going to find some relevant experts to train his employees. It would be troublesome if there were construction problems when he accepted the project. Chapter 1297. The construction of the beer factory was basically complete. Now they just needed to install the machines and then do some testing. The first batch of products would probably be ready by the beginning of May. However, the director of production, Bant, would be in charge of the production and flavoring. Anyway, Bant had promised Chun Zhao that if the taste wasn't good, he would pack up and leave by himself. Usually, Chun Zhao wouldn't put people under him. Chun Zhao couldn't be bothered to fight with Denver. If he really wanted to scheme against them, Chun Zhao wouldn't give Denver those conditions. Moreover, Chun Zhao didn't think that he could beat Denver in this aspect. Instead of working together with a grudge, it was better to trust them wholeheartedly. At first, when Chun Zhao invested in the factory, he wanted to make a small profit. However, after a few interactions with Denver, Chun Zhao realized that if he managed it well, he could make a lot of money. Wang He lay on the bed, panting, with a woman in his arms. He hadn't been so relaxed in a long time. The filming was nearing its end. His scenes were basically done too. However, he still had to report to the crew every day. Sometimes he would have to reshoot some scenes. What made him the happiest was that his girlfriend had come to visit him these 2 days. Shuxiao was also in the industry. Of course, she was a C-list celebrity. She wasn't very famous in the industry. Most of her roles were supporting roles and below. Some of the movies and shows that she had joined couldn't even be released. Wang He, when are you coming back? Shuxiao leaned on Wang He's shoulder. She had to admit that Wang He had been like a wolf these 2 days. He didn't know how to control himself at all. She could also feel that Wang He's stamina was much better than before. In the past, Wang He was known as a little fresh meat, but Chun Zhao was a real little fresh meat. He would usually finish in 10 minutes. Now, Wang He and Chun Zhao had been intimate for an hour. After recovering, they would start again. About half a month, Wang He said. Then I'll accompany you, Shuxiao said. I don't have much work to do recently. The only good thing about being a C-list celebrity was that she was free. She could take on 2 or 3 roles a year and finish filming in 2 weeks. On the other hand, Shuxiao had gained some popularity recently. This popularity mainly came from Wang He. Wang He wasn't in the domestic entertainment industry, but there were legends about him everywhere. Meanwhile, Shuxiao's popularity was basically because Wang He's fans felt that Shuxiao was not worthy of Wang He. Yes, do you have enough money? Enough. Although Shuxiao didn't take on many shows, she did go on a lot of shows, so she was quite well off. Shuxiao was quite astute, at least more astute than Wang He. No matter how one looked at it, Wang He could be considered a quality stock. He had fame, wealth, and ability. Most importantly, he was quite single-minded. After dating Wang He for 3 to 4 years, their relationship was stable, and Wang He was completely devoted to her. Of course, Shuxiao still wanted to make use of Wang He's reputation and connections. Wang He, you should know quite a few people in Hollywood now, right? Wang He gave a wry smile. How could I possibly know anyone? It was pure luck that I managed to land this role. However, Shuxiao didn't think so. To be able to get a role in a Hollywood movie, especially as the male lead, how could it be luck? She was also in the entertainment industry, so she knew very well what a male lead in a movie needed. By the way, will Mr. Steven have an end-of-production party? Yes. Wang He immediately understood. He turned to Shuxiao and asked, you want to participate? Yes. No wonder Shuxiao was unwilling to return to China. Actually, Wang He could understand Shuxiao's thoughts. Back when he did not accept the role, he and Shuxiao had the same thoughts. Attending Hollywood parties everywhere and making friends with Hollywood bigwigs everywhere. Before the audition ended, he had attended no less than 20 parties. He knew quite a lot of people, but this so-called acquaintance was just a nod of acquaintance and a few drinks. But in the end, none of them were of use. At this moment, Wang He thought of that big demon king again. Would that person come to Mr. Stevens' end of production party? That seemed possible. That man was on such good terms with Steven, there was no way he wouldn't come. Looking at Zhuo Xiao's expectant eyes, Wang He could not refuse. He was not stupid. He knew that Zhuo Xiao needed to make use of his connections. This was not to say that they were making use of each other. Connections in the entertainment industry were meant to help each other, let alone a couple. You could be my female companion at the end of production party. Even though he knew that it would be useless, who knew? What if he got lucky? Zhuo Xiao knew that even Hollywood stars would want to attend this end of production party, even if they had nothing to do with this movie. Zhuo Xiao was overjoyed. The company gave her a long leave so that she could attend this party. If she was lucky and got to know the great director Steven, she might be able to soar like Wang He. By the way, don't run around in Los Angeles. It's not safe here, Zhuo Xiao said. This is a society governed by law. America is such a healthy country. Don't always confuse reality and movies, Zhuo Xiao said disapprovingly. Wang He smiled bitterly. What else could he say? Could he tell Zhuo Xiao that he had seen people being thrown into a meat grinder in this city? Let's go out to eat. Okay. The two of them got dressed and prepared to leave. However, they still wore the cap and aviator sunglasses that were usually worn by celebrities. Although this was Los Angeles, because of Wang He, there were still quite a number of domestic paparazzi. Even though the hotel Wang He was staying at was confidential, who knew if the resourceful paparazzi would be able to find him? This is the famous Marina restaurant, right? Yes, even Hollywood stars have to line up here. Just as the two of them were lining up, Zhuo Xiao saw a man and a woman walk past them. The man looked Asian and carried a child. Why aren't they lining up? Wang He looked up, and the woman also turned to look at him. Wang He's face turned as red as a pig's liver. Mr. Chun, you're here to eat? Yes. Chen Zhao nodded. Carrying little Jerlin, he entered the restaurant with Fei Lai. Wang He pulled Zhuo Xiao. Look at where you are. Don't talk nonsense. You might offend someone. Zhuo Xiao nodded. She wasn't stupid. From Wang He's expression, she could tell that even he couldn't afford to offend that person. She had spoken just now because she thought that the person wasn't Chinese and might not understand them. Wang He, is that person some big boss? Chapter 1298. Wang He and Zhuo Xiao entered the restaurant and sat down. Is he Chinese too? Zhuo Xiao asked. Yes, Wang He answered casually. He really didn't want to talk about that person. Zhuo Xiao didn't see through Wang He's thoughts and continued asking with interest. What does he do? Is he in the film industry too? No, don't ask. Anyway, we can't afford to offend that person, especially in LA. He remembered that last time, he'd accidentally barged into Chun Zhao's private room and encountered Chun Zhao subordinates with a bunch of firearms. Wang He was doing well in the entertainment industry, but in his mind, Chun Zhao was an arms dealer. He didn't dare to offend him at all, even if Chun Zhao was in America and he was in China. How close is he to director Steven? How do you know him? I don't know. Anyway, during the audition, director Steven asked him who was suitable. He said I was, so I was chosen. Oh, didn't that person enter the restaurant? How come I don't see him? He must be in the private room, Wang He said. Since we know each other, should we go say hi? It'll be rude not to go. Wang He hesitated. No matter what their relationship was, Chen Zhao had at least helped him before. Whether it was in the country or abroad, there was such a rule. However, Wang He was really worried that he would see something he shouldn't see the moment he opened the door like last time. Forget it. He should be eating with his wife and child. He definitely wouldn't see anything he shouldn't see. Wang He picked up his glass and stood up. Zhuo Xiao followed. There was only one private room in Marina Restaurant. They'd been here last time too. Just as Zhuo Xiao was about to open the door, Wang He stopped her. Knock. Don't be rude, Wang He said. Knock, knock. Come in. Chen Zhao's voice came from inside. Hello, Mr. Chun. Hello, lady, Wang He said. I'm here to say hi. Oh, hello. Who is this lady? Zhuo Xiao. I'm Wang He's girlfriend. Hello. This is my girlfriend, Fei Lai. This is my daughter. When Wang He and Zhuo Xiao saw little Jerlin sitting at the table, they suddenly felt an indescribable sense of cuteness. Sit down. Let's chat for a while. Will I disturb you? Not at all. Please take a seat. Fei Lai didn't mind and invited them to sit. How's the filming going? My scenes are almost done, but the filming is still in the final stage, Wang He said. Speaking of which, I should thank Mr. Chun for helping me fight for this opportunity. It doesn't have much to do with me. It's mainly because your acting skills are good and you're very popular in the country. After the movie is released in the country, we need you to drive the box office. Mr. Chun, the filming is expected to end in 2 weeks. Mr. Stevens' party is scheduled for May 2nd. Will you be there? I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going. Little Jerlin immediately shouted with a terrified expression. Godfather wants to prick little Jerlin with his beard the moment he sees her. Everyone in the private room laughed, but Shui Zhao's heart was slightly moved. Is director Steven the girl's godfather? I really envy her. Fei Lai, do you want to go? Chun Zhao asked. Not really, but if we don't go after he invites us, he'll come to our house again and disturb our time alone. I'll just prepare a gift for him. If he disturbs us again, I'll release the dog to bite him. Dad, can you not release the dog? If it hurts Godfather, he might not love little Jerlin anymore. Jerlin was conflicted again. I thought you didn't like your Godfather? Little Jerlin likes him, but she doesn't like him prickling me with his beard. Just then, someone suddenly appeared outside the door. It was Na Fa Twain. Na Fa Twain stood at the door and knocked. Hi, Chun, am I disturbing you? Hello, Mr. Na Fa. Wang He and Zhua Xiao both recognized him. He was a Hollywood A-list movie star. The two immediately became cautious. After all, this was a real celebrity. At least, Na Fa Twain was definitely 100 times more famous internationally than them. Want to come? Chun Zhao asked. Chun, can we talk outside? Chun Zhao stood up and said to Wang He and Zhua Xiao, Excuse me. Chun Zhao and Na Fa Twain walked to the door. Mr. Na Fa, how can I help you? Call me Twain. My friends all call me Twain. Okay, Twain. Chun, I want to ask if you have cash on hand. Chun Zhao was stunned. He looked at Na Fa Twain, somewhat surprised. To be honest, he really wasn't familiar with Na Fa Twain. Even though they owned a restaurant together, they'd actually met less than 5 times. Even before today, the two of them still used honorifics to address each other. But today, Na Fa Twain wanted to borrow money from him. To be honest, the money from the treasure hunt hadn't been transferred into Chun Zhao's account yet. However, Chun Zhao still had $30 million in his account. As long as Na Fa Twain didn't ask for much, Chun Zhao could still afford it. But the key question was, why? Why should he borrow money? If Na Fa Twain's selling of Marina's restaurant's shares to him was considered a favor, then he was the one who owed it to Amelia and not Na Fa Twain's recognition. Amira was the one who'd helped Chun Zhao negotiate. Na Fa Twain didn't go back empty-handed either. Twain, you're an A-list superstar, Chun Zhao said, smiling. You should have more money than me. I invested in a movie recently, but the box office wasn't very good, Na Fa Twain said helplessly. I have almost zero cash right now. Chun Zhao knew that tycoons with huge assets usually only had around 5% of their total assets in cash. For these capitalists, putting more than 5% in the bank was a loss. For example, Chun Zhao was currently converting his cash into investment projects. Of course, the difference was that he didn't borrow money from the bank. So if one of Chun Zhao's projects failed, it would just be a loss. It wouldn't affect Chun Zhao's credit. I need $30 million, Na Fa Twain said. I can guarantee that I'll pay it back in 3 months, and the interest will definitely be higher than the bank, Na Fa Twain said. Can you tell me where you need money? Chun Zhao asked. Chapter 1299. Sorry, Chun Zhao said. I'm a bit short on cash. If his friend needed money, he would take it out even if it was a loss and he knew that he couldn't pay it back. Even if Guret wanted to borrow money from him, Chun Zhao would lend it to him. Because they'd been in close contact before, they knew each other very well. This way, Chun Zhao could evaluate if he could get his money back or how much he could get back. However, Chun Zhao didn't have much contact with Na Fa Twain. Why should he lend him money? Moreover, Na Fa Twain was an A-list celebrity. If he wanted money, he could definitely get it. For example, he could get a mortgage from the bank. Not only did he have the property, but his reputation was also very valuable. The bank was more than happy to lend money to Nafa Twain, as long as he was willing to pay a higher interest. Disappointment appeared in Nafa Twain's eyes. Regardless of whether Chen Zhao was telling the truth or lying, their conversation had reached an impasse. "I can use the shares of Marina's restaurant as a mortgage," Nafa Twain said. Chen Zhao frowned and fell into deep thought. Firstly, Nafa Twain only had 30% of Marina's restaurant shares. It wasn't worth $30 million. However, this was based on the market price. In terms of industrial value and annual income, Marina's restaurant indeed had a lot of potential. However, 30% of the shares was still not worth $30 million to Nafa Twain. If 30% of the shares could be mortgaged for $30 million, then Marina's restaurant would be worth $100 million. This was obviously too high. Of course, normally, Nafa Twain's reputation was worth $30 million. If he could only buy 30% of the shares at a slightly higher price than the market price and control 100% of the shares, it would be worth it. However, $30 million was really too high. "I need to think about it," Chen Zhao said. "Chun, I'm really tight right now. I need to get the money as soon as possible." "Twain, I also want as soon as possible, but even so, I still need to raise money. $30 million isn't a small amount. I need to see if the bank can lend me money. When can you give me an answer as soon as possible?" "One day. Give me 1 day to think about it." "Okay." Nafa Twain nodded helplessly. "I won't disturb you anymore. Enjoy your meal." After returning to the room, Chen Zhao acted like nothing had happened. However, when they were talking just now, the people inside also heard their conversation from outside the door. Of course, Shuxiao and Wang He did not ask about this. After all, this had nothing to do with them, and it was likely to involve some trade secrets. At the dining table, Shuxiao and Wang He behaved very politely. The four of them only talked about Hollywood matters. After the meal, Wang He and Shuxiao politely bade farewell to the Chun family of three. Only then did Fei Lai say, "Chun, Nafa Twain wants to borrow money from you." "Yes, but I need to ask a professional," Chen Zhao said. $30 million was not a small amount. Even if it was $3 million, he would calculate it again and again, let alone $30 million. "Hi, Mr. Andrews. I'm Chen Zhao." "Mr. Chen, how can I help you? Do you remember Marina's?" "I remember that you have 70% shares of Marina Restaurant. Do you have any plans? Or are you going to use it as a mortgage?" Marina Restaurant's revenue was very high. Its annual turnover was more than 12 million, and its net profit was more than 6 million. Moreover, it was not a new business, but a mature one. According to the calculation of unlisted businesses, the current market value of the business could be calculated by multiplying the annual net income by 10 years, then subtracting the 10 years and multiplying the annual depreciation of the dollar by 3%. For most companies or businesses, if they were listed, their annual market value could not increase faster than the depreciation of the dollar, which would be a loss. Unlisted companies could not exceed the depreciation of the dollar, which would also be a loss. In short, the listed companies depended on the stock price, while the unlisted ones depended on their revenue. These two were important standards for banks to evaluate the quality of their businesses. If Chen Zhao used 70% of Marina Restaurant's shares as a mortgage, the bank would be able to borrow 1.5 to 2 times the actual value. In short, banks were not afraid of borrowing money, but they were afraid of paying it back too quickly. The more money they owed, the higher the interest they would receive. "No, I want to know the current value of the other 30% of Marina Restaurant shares." "Huh? You mean the 30% shares of Nafa Twain's restaurant?" "Yes. The shares have been mortgaged many times." "Mr. Chun, does Nafa Twain want to use the shares as a mortgage to borrow money from you?" "Yes. You're saying that the shares have been mortgaged many times?" Usually, the first mortgage was for a high-quality business, while multiple mortgages required multiple restructuring. After each restructuring, the bank would borrow less and less money, and the interest would become higher and higher. In the end, the borrower would not be able to pay back the money. Moreover, businesses that had already been mortgaged couldn't be traded, let alone repeatedly. In other words, even if Nafa Twain mortgaged 30% of the restaurant's shares to Chen Zhao, if Na Twain's capital chain broke, the bank would have priority. Chun Zhao wouldn't be able to do anything then. At least in terms of legal means, Chun Zhao wouldn't be able to beat the bank. Of course, if the shares ended up in the bank's hands, it would be a good thing. The bank would definitely sell it to Chun Zhao first, based on business principles. This was also because Chun Zhao shares a clear ownership and the bank needed funds. Another possibility was that the bank would find a professional manager to take over the business and run it for profit. However, usually, when an individual had absolute shares, the bank would not find a professional manager because Chun Zhao had absolute decision-making power. Even a stock god would not have the right to order Chun Zhao around. How much does Na Twain owe the bank? $230 million. Chun Zhao gasped. How does he owe so much money? Chapter 1300. Chun Zhao was a bit angry because Na Twain had lied to him. He hadn't succeeded. But after thinking about it, Chun Zhao understood. So what if he lied to him? Did he have to take revenge? Na was probably in a terrible situation now. There was no need to add insult to injury. Na Twain was probably just trying his luck. He knew that the success rate wouldn't be high. Andrews is the 30% shares of Maryland's restaurant mortgage to your bank. Yes. If your bank wants to sell the shares, buy it from me immediately. As long as it's within 40% of the premium, you can help me buy it. Chun Zhao had the priority to buy the shares. Of course, if it was a high-quality property, the bank might keep it as a profitable investment. Chun Zhao didn't have to get the 30% shares. As long as it didn't fall into the hands of some random person, Chun Zhao didn't mind the bank owning the shares. The richer one was, the more cautious they were. If Rasfa, Stephen, Dell, or Risfar needed money, Chun Zhao would lend it to them without hesitation. Chun Zhao wouldn't ask how or when he would return it. He wouldn't even ask for interest. This was friendship. Of course, it was also trust. He trusted that they had the ability to return the money. Everyone would have times when they were short of money. Even Chun Zhao was no exception. But Chun Zhao wasn't familiar with Na Twain at all. From Andrew's words, Chun Zhao could basically tell that Na Twain wasn't an excellent capitalist. He didn't have the ability to manage his own assets. So, Chun Zhao wouldn't lend him money. He didn't have two conditions. One was ability, and the other was friendship, because he didn't have two conditions. One was ability, and the other was friendship. Mr. Chun, I heard that you've invested in a beer factory? Mr. Chun, I heard that you're building a beer factory. Are you the maker of a nameless wine in Mara's supermarket? You're the maker of Mara Supermarket's nameless wine? Andrews asked. Huh? How did you know? Chun Zhao was surprised. Because I heard that the maker of Daydream is going to build and produce a beer factory. Coincidentally, you're the one who built it. Hearing Andrew's words, Chun Zhao realized that Denver had probably started building up their momentum. The first bottle of beer hadn't even been produced yet, but Andrews was already promoting it impatiently. It had to be said that Denver moved quickly. Mr. Chun, do you need a bank loan? I think our bank will be happy to provide you with the best loan service. How famous were Daydream and the nameless wine? Daydream was the world's most famous wine, the most expensive wine. Even the value of Daydream had exceeded its price tag. Sacramento has become a tourist destination because of Daydreams. The number of tourists in the second half of last year was close to 8 million. This was already comparable to the number of tourists in the Hawaiian Islands. Tens of billions of dollars in tourism revenue to Sacramento. Tourism became the mainstay of Sacramento's economy. Daydream wasn't a billion-dollar wine, but $100 billion wine. Who knew how many people would travel thousands of miles to Sacramento just to catch a glimpse of Daydream, to Mara's Superstore? After the nameless wine was put on the shelves every month, it was sold out in an instant. This led to the rise of the nameless wine's reputation. Moreover, the nameless wine and Daydream were brewed by the same person, which further increased the nameless wine's fame and value. Even if the price of the nameless wine made it impossible for ordinary people to get it, this didn't mean that ordinary people wouldn't fantasize about the nameless wine, the beer that Chun Zhao had invested in hadn't started production yet, but everyone could see its potential. Everything else aside, just the fact that it was brewed by the world's best brewer was enough to attract attention. Andrew's intentions were also the bank's intentions. Did the bank lack money? What they lacked was projects. Customers like Chun Zhao were their favorite. Loans had low risk and stable returns. But customers like Chun Zhao were also the most troublesome. Chun Zhao didn't lack money. However, Andrews was an investment expert. Of course, he had more professional eyes than Chun Zhao. Mr. Chun, I know that your investment isn't big right now, but I believe that this time next year, your investment definitely won't be able to support the market demand. By then, you'll either lose your market share or lose the opportunity to take the lead. So, you better consider expanding production as soon as possible. Chun Zhao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They hadn't even started production yet. They hadn't even produced one bottle of beer, and Andrews was already considering expanding production. Wasn't that too much of a rush? However, Chun Zhao had to remember Andrews' words. He should ask Denver later to see what he thought. Of course, he couldn't borrow money for now. After the money entered his account, Chun Zhao's cash flow would probably be more than those large companies. For now, Chun Zhao wouldn't blindly expand production. Andrews obviously knew that he couldn't get Chun Zhao to take a loan with just a phone call. However, he was really anxious. Once the aged beer was successful in the market, he would be able to make a profit. Once Chun Zhao's beer succeeded in the market, there would definitely be more investors who would pay attention to Chun Zhao's brewery. They would definitely be willing to invest in Chun Zhao's brewery. After exchanging a few words with Andrews, Chun Zhao hung up. Fei Lai, do you want to go shopping? Chun Zhao asked. No, let's go home, Fei Lai said. On the way, Chun Zhao received a call from Ethan. Chun, there's a customer who offered $200,000. The address is Beverly Hills, XXXX. Okay, I'll be there in half an hour. Chun Zhao first sent Fei Lai and Jerlin home. Then, he drove to Beverly Hills. Ding dong. Chun Zhao pressed the doorbell. It wasn't a big villa. The owner probably wasn't a billionaire, but he was at least rich. Now, Chun Zhao could roughly estimate a person's wealth from their house. Hello, I'm a doctor. I heard that someone here needs treatment. A woman walked out from a small path in the villa. Chun Zhao could vaguely see that she had long hair and was wearing a mink nightgown. The woman stood at the metal door and looked at Chun Zhao. You're a doctor? Yes. Can I see your medical license? The woman looked very cautious. Huh. Chun Zhao chuckled. Do you need a proper doctor? The woman's smile was very beautiful. She opened the door. Come in. Chun Zhao glanced at the woman. It was late, and she was already wearing a nightgown, but she still had foundation on. Chun Zhao couldn't see her complexion. Chun Zhao glanced at the woman. It's bad for your skin if you don't remove your makeup at night. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.